The late great Norm MacDonald was a comedian that received universal praise from just about everyone in the world of entertainment, which is why a lot of people were surprised when he had his scheduled appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon canceled back in September 2018. Probably the worst tragedy to ever take place in the month of September. With the knowledge that just a few years later Norm would be taking a dirt nap, this stings extra, knowing that we were robbed of another classic late-night television appearance from Norm MacDonald. I know some of you guys probably think Jimmy Fallon is a coked-up mongoloid who doesn't own a doghouse, but I still think he's an okay host of The Tonight Show. When you consider the fact he preceded Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, and Conan O'Brien, you realize very quickly how hard it would be to be better than any of those three. Anyway, that's enough about Jimmy. Let's get back to our favorite chunk of coal, Norm MacDonald. To line up exactly what happened in this story properly, we need to first establish a timeline of everything leading up to Norm's canceled appearance on The Tonight Show. A lot of this is information that does not involve Norm, but please trust me when I say that we are going somewhere with it. To begin with, back in the late 2010s, the Me Too movement was arguably at its peak. Around this time, we had seen several celebrities be outed in the Me Too movement and received pretty harsh consequences for their actions. The severity of what a lot of them were accused of varies greatly depending on the person, but the point was a lot of people were coming forward with stories about celebrities. For example, on October 29, 2017, actor Anthony Rapp accused fellow actor Kevin Spacey of making a sexual advance towards him at a party, while under the influence of alcohol, when Kevin Spacey was 27 years old and Anthony was just 15. Following this, several other people came forward levying similar allegations of sexual impropriety towards Kevin Spacey, and to this day, Kevin Spacey denies the allegations of abuse after being found innocent by a civil court jury in 2023. Additionally, on November 9, 2017, it was revealed that Louis C.K. had been accused of sexual misconduct from 5 different women who claimed he had asked if he could tug his Long John Silver in front of them while they watched, to which Louis confirmed these rumors were true. Also, on November 3, 2017, the New York City Police Department were preparing a warrant to arrest Harvey Weinstein based on allegations of rape that had been levied towards him. Harvey would later on be charged with 11 more counts of all this disgusting shit. Obviously, what someone like Louis did shouldn't be compared to an actual fucking monster like Harvey Weinstein, but I say all of this to establish the Me Too movement was alive and well in 2017. Then a year later, in May 2018, Roseanne would make some highly unsavory tweets, one including a racist tweet about Planet of the Apes and the Muslim Brotherhood in reference to President Obama's former senior advisor Valerie Jarrett. Roseanne apologized shortly after for the tweets, but it was too late and the damage had already been done. Very soon after this, the consulting producer for Roseanne's sitcom Roseanne, named Wanda Sykes, announced that she was quitting the show. After that, the ABC president publicly condemned Roseanne's tweets and also announced that the network had decided to cancel Roseanne's show even though the show was set to be renewed for another season. After Roseanne lost her show, Norm MacDonald was asked to comment on this by The Hollywood Reporter because Norm at the time had been working for Roseanne on her show as a writer when it was canceled. And Norm also had known Roseanne for a long time since she gave him his first job in show business as a writer for the sitcom back in the 1992 and 1993 season. Norm said, quote, "I'm happy the Me Too movement has slowed down a little bit. It used to be 100 women can't be lying, and then it became 1 woman can't lie, and then it became I believe all women. And then you're like, what? Like that Chris Hardwick guy I really thought got the blunt end of the stick there." End quote. Norm also said that when Roseanne called him crying about the cancellation of her show, that he was at a loss for words. So he gave her Louis C.K.'s phone number so they could both talk about it. Some people saw this as odd since Roseanne was extra critical of Louis C.K. when his Me Too allegations came out, but Norm's reasoning for this was that he had never lost everything the way either of them had, so he wanted them to connect since in his eyes Louis and Roseanne were going through a very similar thing. Then he was asked about the victims, and Norm said, quote, "There are very few people that have gone through what they have, losing everything in a day. Of course people will go, what about the victims? But you know what? The victims didn't have to go through that." A lot of people immediately jumped down Norm's throat and assumed he was implying that what Roseanne and Louis went through was worse than what the victims victims had gone through, and that he was defending the actions of the two comedians. This was not what Norm meant at all, but more on that later though. Then Norm would go on to apologize in a tweet he made saying, quote, "Roseanne and Louis have both been very good friends of mine for many years. They both made terrible mistakes, and I would never defend their actions. If my words sounded like I was minimizing the pain that their victims feel to this day, I am deeply sorry," end quote. Most of Norm's fans supported this and were understanding, but a few other people said Norm was mansplaining and lit him up for claiming the rich comedians had gone through worse hardship than the victims had experienced. Once again, this is not what Norm meant. Then Norm would go on the Howard Stern show on September 12, 2018, the day after his interview with The Hollywood Reporter, and Howard Stern would ask him about the controversial statements he made. He pretty much said that he was saying that what the victims had gone through was terrible, but obviously not comparable in any way to what Louis and Roseanne went through. And he added something else that got him into big trouble.
Very few people have been through what we have been through. This particular, a very peculiar event where you say something or you do something and your career is wiped out forever. Because I said, now the victims went through worse, but it wasn't the same as that.
Yeah, what you said was the victims have, at least they don't lose everything.
Yes.
That's where you got into trouble.
Yeah.
So
I know that. And of course, you'd have to have Down syndrome.
Not to know that.
That's my new word.
Down syndrome. Right, that's a good word.
You'd have to have Down syndrome.
Based on that small little look in Norm's eyes after he said this hilarious line, I think he knew exactly what he was doing here. This clip, of course, changed everything and led to a whole new point of controversy for Norm. Then later that day, Norm was scheduled to go on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and when he got to the dressing room, Jimmy approached him about the Me Too comments and the Howard Stern situation and asked him to talk. Jimmy was very distraught and clearly stressed out about the situation, and Norm described it as, quote, "He was very broken up about it. He said, I don't know what to do. It's just that I have so much pressure. People are crying. My senior producers are crying," end quote. So the producers are crying over Norm's nuanced opinion on the sweeping generalizations that took place during the Me Too movement. And the Down syndrome joke? Don't you motherfuckers work on The Tonight Show? A show that's hosted by a comedian and brings in other comedians to showcase their unique talent? Don't you understand that Norm was just joking and being hyperbolic for the sake of absurdity? Like, guys, what the fuck are we doing here? Jesus. Sorry for the rant. This whole thing is just so stupid to me. Anyway, in response to this, Norm would say, quote, "I was like, good lord, bring them in and let me talk to them. I don't want to make people cry. I felt so bad for that comment." Jimmy said, "Come back whenever you want, but I think it'll hurt the show tonight," end quote. So Jimmy ultimately showed Norm the door when he faced corporate pressure, and I know a lot of you probably think Jimmy is a coward for this, and you could probably convince me of that as well, but I also sort of understand where he's coming from. Think about it this way. If you are preceding 3 of the best Tonight Show hosts in history, and you know you're not of the same comedic caliber as them, then you also know that NBC is going to give you a much shorter leash than the previous hosts. So there's a lot of pressure on him to do his job as per the books and as safely as he can. I understand why Jimmy made the call that he did and didn't try to put his neck out for Norm at the time, but if Jimmy is a real human being and not a soulless corporate multimillionaire shill, then he probably feels extremely bad about this now, knowing that he turned Norm away when he was dying of cancer. Norm even defended Jimmy's decision and said that he understands why Jimmy did what he did and that he wouldn't want to jeopardize Jimmy's good standing with NBC for just one late-night TV appearance. Now, people are going to accuse me of being a homosexual glazer for Jimmy Fallon in the comments down below. Please do not call me that, or I will cry my eyes out. Please! Furthermore, Norm's appearance was canceled, but then 2 days later, on September 13th, 2018, Norm would go on The View of all shows. Now, I know Norm has quite the history of going on The View and getting himself in trouble in the funniest possible way.
See, I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question.
Who are the murderers?
Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, you know, we're not allowed to, you're not allowed to put out no accusations without
That's a little too far.
But this time when Norm went on, he was very sincere and wore his heart on his sleeve. This is where he would officially clarify his comments on the Me Too movement that made people understand his point.
But when you kind of lose me when you imply that the hardship that your friend Louis C.K. that the hardship that he went through is equal to the hardship that the victims went through.
Right.
That doesn't compute.
That's not what I was saying. When this happened, I was working for Roseanne when Roseanne's thing went down, and I called her the next day, and she was crying the whole time I was talking to her. Not many of us have gone through this, and so you should talk to each other because you've... And then the guy said, what about the victims? And I said, well, the victims haven't gone through this. I was talking about this particular event. Of course, the victims have gone through worse than that. But I'm going to get a victim to phone Roseanne?
No, but that's a good clarification.
So a lot of people initially thought The View was going to make Norm look bad, but surprisingly, it actually stopped the bleeding, and they showed Norm a lot of humanity and understanding here. There were also a couple of times Norm was obviously trolling in this interview before putting a mint in his mouth that were pretty funny. So ultimately, The View ended up being a really good PR move and made people lay off the Norm dogpile. Then obviously, in 2021, we know our beloved chunk of coal, Norm, tragically lost his life to that football-playing, murdering black guy named, what was his name? Oh, acute leukemia. After this, we would see Martin Short and Steve Martin go on The Tonight Show to talk about Norm MacDonald, and I couldn't help but notice all of the comments shitting on Jimmy for the decision to cancel Norm's appearance. I understand where a lot of these comments are coming from, because looking back at it, you could definitely say that Jimmy really didn't try to go to bat for Norm at all, and that he's a coward for that. Norm defended Jimmy because he's a class act and a genuinely kind soul, but these comments raise legitimately good points about how shitty and hypocritical this was for Jimmy to do. I have sympathy for the guy, but I also understand the points made in these comments very well. But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think Jimmy's decision to cancel Norm's appearance was a fair one given the unique situation, or do you think he was acting cowardly here and should have stood his ground more? Also, who do you think was the best host of The Tonight Show? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Before I end the video, I want to bring your attention to my second YouTube channel. If you think I'm a cool guy and you want to get to know me better and see a more personal side to me, then check out my second channel, Nate Roscoe RLP, to see me talk about real stuff in a comedic way. I'd love to see some of you guys in the comments on some of those videos as well, and of course your insights and opinions in the comments are always greatly appreciated. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching the video to the end, leaving a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribing if you're new to the channel. That's all I got for you guys today. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.
Who are safer drivers, men or women? Well, according to a new survey, 55% of adults feel that women are most responsible for minor fender benders, while 78% blame men for most fatal crashes. Please note that the percentages in these pie graphs do not add up to 100% because the math was done by a woman. For those of you hissing at that joke, it should be noted that that joke was written by a woman. So now you don't know what the hell to do, do you? No, I'm just kidding. We don't hire women. You heard the latest? I heard this just the other day. There's a rumor that last week, a certain, I don't want to say who it is, a certain gentleman in ABC News, he went to a party and he got really drunk and he ended up having sex with his own wife. I don't know how these rumors get started, but you know, it's probably just a vicious rumor, really, you know.
And joining us in the Show Before the Show living room is host of Norm MacDonald Live on YouTube, the wonderful Norm MacDonald.
Yes, and Jenny, all the stars are here.
Do you want a microphone, Norm?
Yes. Is that my tree?
What a disaster.
Jenny, all the stars are here.
It's true.
Beardy Man, Claude Racine, Dax Flame, Betty Fine,
you got it,
and Raphael Fine. All the stars.
You really keep up with all that
are
stuff.
here tonight. Oh, yes. Yeah. Harley Morenstein is here.
All right. And we also have comedian Todd Glass. He'll be hanging out backstage with some of tonight's guests. And on the red carpet, we've got comedian Kulap Vailesak and host...
I feel like Todd will be struggling to know these people.
I'm sorry, I'm going to continue with the what the computer says, Norm, although I'd love to talk to you more than this computer.
We're on
but
the
I have to do
computer.
what the computer says, even though I do love you, Norm. I think you're one of the best. We're also going to be talking to the host
I'm no Harley Morenstein.
You're not, Norm, but you gotta just let me read this fucking thing.
The next time I watch a WNBA game will be the first time I watch a WNBA game.
And what's been going on? Bring us up to date. What's been on your mind?
I had a big pork chop for dinner, and I live in the moment. But my belly too big for the anyway. Two things struck me while I was eating dinner, Dave. One, you eat dinner at a restaurant different than you eat dinner at your home. Like, at your home, you would never say, man, I'm going to make myself a pork chop, cook it up till it's hot on one side, then turn it over, hot on the other side, and then cut into it a little bit, see how it's going in the middle. But while I'm waiting for my pork chop to get nice and hot and delicious so I can eat it, first, I'll eat a big loaf of bread.
So that's at home.
Yeah, at home. Get 20 or 30 pats of butter. The other thing I noticed is dessert. Now, in the old days, dessert, the waiter would come to your table and go, what do you want for dessert, a apple pie or a cherry pie?
Oh, yeah.
You go, I'll have a cherry pie.
Sure.
Or an apple pie, don't matter. No reason to divide the audience this early.
No, that's right. You don't want to do that, no.
But you would order your pie, you'd eat it, and everything would be fine on earth.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's all different. Guy comes, he's got a big tray.
Oh, yeah.
He had a canted angle, every confection known to man.
Sure.
Suddenly, his tone changes. It's not like the pork chop anymore. Some kind of sexual undertones going on. He's like, you like this? You're like, I don't know. What is Do you like decadent things?
Yeah.
You're like, not that much.
Oh, yeah.
Once in a while, I guess.
Yeah.
May I tempt you, please? No, I'm a fella, you're a fella.
Yeah.
And now it's time for Weekend Update's movie reviews. This week I saw Interview with the Vampire. And here's my review. Not gay enough.
No, there's an interesting dynamic that happens when a guy becomes way more successful and powerful than you are.
Right.
Which is, I don't want to phone out. I love Sandler. I talk to him a lot, but I try to limit it because he gets bugged a lot, you know? He gets
people want
bothered
things
a lot.
from him.
Yeah, people want things from him, so I don't want anything from him. But when I'm talking to him, I feel like he might think I want something from him or something like that.
Right. You're so aware of others' feelings.
Now you're killing him. What the hell are you doing?
I know he's going to slam me when he says some shit like that.
Norm, you just snotted all over yourself.
I can fucking see that one coming.
In other words,
You're a motherfucker.
In other words, you're so in tune.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yes. You're bragging, aren't you? Now, you're saying...
Now, Norm, if there's one thing about Norm is he's very in touch with other people's feelings.
Norm.
I've never seen a reaction like that in here.
Norm, what you're saying, you just vomited on yourself, and you blew snot out of your nose. Norm.
There goes that mic.
What I'm trying to say.
No, what I was going to say was this.
But you like, I mean, you said you sometimes you have a little too much to drink, maybe?
Well, one time I drank a super amount, and I'd only been...
A super amount,
yeah,
right?
It was when I was a young guy. I'd only drunk like 8 or 9 times in my whole life. I never had gotten really drunk, but I'd had drinks. And I went out with my buddies, and I was drinking, and they were having those crazy drinks. All of a sudden, I was really drunk. And then a guy gave me some pills. Like, he said, hey, you want some pills? And I said, yeah, all right. So I ate the pills. And you're not supposed to eat pills while you drink.
I think even if you're not drinking, it's not a good idea when someone goes, you want a bunch of pills? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, combining the two.
This guy was a decent guy. He was a bouncer. No. But, so I said, yeah, so these pills, they just make you like 100 times drunker. So then oh, man, I'm really drunk. And then, like, time passed, but I don't remember. And then my friends are like, hey, let's go. I'm like, why don't you guys go? Where are you going to, you know, why go? Right? Like, we're in a bar drinking, right? And, like, it doesn't seem right. You don't want to go home, you know, and watch I Love Lucy or something. So you're like, hey, I just stay here. I'll make new friends, right? So I was, like, real drunk, and everybody was, like, cool. It was like a Western. It had a jukebox, you know, one of those. Guy gives you a whole bottle there, you know, and you go, ah. And then...
That's what you do when you're drinking, you a pirate,
yeah.
All of a sudden?
And then it was the funnest, man. There was a big fat bearded guy there, and I was hanging with him, real drunk. All of a sudden, right, I'm like, oh, man, I can't remember anything. I remember, like, I sort of fallen into a pool table or something like that.
Right.
And then I wake up, right, and it's like I'm in a bed. I look beside, there's the fat bearded guy beside me.
No, really?
Yeah. So I go, oh, Lord God, I had sex with the fat bearded guy, you know? And at the time, like, I'd never had sex before in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and I always thought, it's probably going to be with a lady. You know what I mean? So then I looked over, and the weird thing was, instead of us being in the same bed, he's in a separate bed, right? Like, we have two separate beds.
It's like twin beds.
Twin beds. So then I'm like, wait a minute, now this is weird, because, you know, why would we be in separate beds? Is he like an old-fashioned gay guy, you know? And then, right? But
he has the good values, yeah.
So
we're not married yet.
There's no such thing, of course, as an old-fashioned gay guy. They're the most decadent people. So I said, what? With sex, you know, they enjoy sex like crazy, you know?
We mustn't generalize.
No, we mustn't generalize.
No, but go ahead.
Seriously, you know, if there was a bathhouse for straight guys, we wouldn't be able to have sex 9, 10 times a night anyway. So anyways, I'm with, they love sex, it's a good thing. But I'm beside the fat bearded guy. I go, holy Lord. Anyways, it turns out, not a gay man at all. Turns out this guy, when I blacked out, had checked me into a rehab.
No.
Yeah.
And she's in there with you?
Yeah, so I got robes and a slipper, and they wouldn't give me my clothes back. And I had to stay in there for 3 days. And they're like, you're an alcoholic. I go, no, I'm not. And then apparently that's what alcoholics say, too, you know? So then for 3 days I had to stay there. I had to go to AA meetings. And I'd only been drunk like 9 times, right? So they're like, what's your worst one? I go, I guess the 9th one was bad, you know?
Right.
That was, and when did you hit bottom? I said, I don't know. The cool part of it was the girls all get up, right? And all their stories are all the same. Whenever they hit bottom,
right.
Every story is the same. They're like, when I hit bottom, you know, I a guy for a drink, you know? And you're like, oh. You know, every guy. Yeah. Guy goes, you got the do-rag? He goes, you know, I'm fucking my woman, you know, and I don't want to answer the phone. Oh, shit, it could be a job, and you know. And then, you know, after you take the do-rag, you wipe off your dick with the do-rag. And I'm like, no, I don't do that. But everyone in the audience is like, yeah, we all do that. We all wipe our dicks off. Hey, WNBA, I got an idea that'll sell some tickets, shirts and skins. Look, Taylor, I don't think you understand. You're a huge whore. Last night, the epic disaster film Twister opened to big box office and some controversy. The Reverend Jesse Jackson has called for a boycott of the movie, claiming that not enough black people in the film are killed by tornadoes. So at the end of the election, you know, it was trouble for both candidates because they had the undecideds like me didn't know. And so they were trying their hardest to get us to know, but, you know, we were all dumb. We didn't know. And then they decided to go with commercials where they just have some animals in them, you know? Like I remember one, it was a bunch of wolves, you know, and then the narrator, he goes, hey, do you want a bunch of wolves to eat you? You're like, damn, no, that's a bad. That's the last thing I want. And then the other character, he came out with his own, because the wolf thing was working good. And so his was, he goes, would you rather be a ostrich or a eagle? And you're like, that's a tough one there. And the guy's like, you'd rather be an eagle, you retard? I would, yes, because then the wolf can't jump up as high enough to catch you. So you're like, all right. I'll tell you what I do like in the news, the big murder trials, because I can follow that, And now we have the greatest one that's coming up, because it's the best when celebrities are up for murder, because then you know the guy, And right? So they selected the jurors for the Robert Blake trial, so that will move on, and I'm happy about that, because I love Robert Blake. Ever since I was a kid, watched him. Beretta, my favorite show. God damn, that was a good show. I will say one thing about Robert Blake. The guy appears to have not the greatest alibi I have ever heard. Seems to be a relatively weak alibi to me. And I'm no jurisprudence, I don't know. But this is his alibi as far as I can figure it out. He goes, it couldn't have been me who shot my wife in the secluded area over by the side of the ditch. On account I have an alibi. Oh, where were you? I had to go back to the restaurant. I forgot my gun. Then I got my gun. I went back to where my wife is, and goddamn, somebody shot her. Now, so I don't know what alibis he discarded before he decided to go with that one, but.
Is this a really good question, Norm? Who's a familiar face for
it's
Blake?
a question from Blake's good friend, Norm. No, Blake, it's fun watching you this year. Wasn't it cool?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I was wondering, there's a kind of a curse with Rookie of the Year. Nobody's ever repeated it.
I didn't think about that. Well, I'll try as hard as I can next year, but
All right, man.
I don't know. Thank you for that question, though. That's going on top of the goals for next year.
The parents of Honey Boo Boo are getting married this week. I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds fucking retarded.
So, Jenny, what month was your
Stop
issue?
quoting Churchill.
May of 08. Who was on the cover? Do you remember?
It was a Russian girl. And my nickname's Genocide, so I think that was kind of funny.
What?
What?
What do you mean? Is Genocide giving her comedy fucking advice?
Why is that? It's funny because there was a genocide.
In Russia? Only about 70 years ago.
Against the Russian people.
Who still lives? But me. That's not
You
a
first.
Huh?
Check her back. No, it was
the
it wasn't a complete genocide.
What do you mean?
No, it was.
Well, Stalin was a mass murderer.
Only Jewish people seem to get really offended by my nickname.
There are fives in a case.
Dave's getting more.
Right,
Well,
because they're the only ones that live.
Well, the only
through
true
a
genocide was the. Well, I don't want to say.
What
Another
about
one
the
this way,
American
Sam.
Indians? That was a true genocide.
Wow. What?
The American Indians was a true genocide.
No, that was for land.
No, that was justified.
That was for land. We were taking their property.
No,
It doesn't matter. What does it matter what the motive
No,
is?
the genocide.
Yeah, the motive
against
is
the
to
Indians
just
was
hatred of a race to exterminate them
It was
without a
just- it was
political or economic
justifiable
agenda.
What we did with the
genocide?
Indians.
Well, it's not
No,
justifiable.
well, who's saying it's justified?
I said it. Well, let's.
You got to bury them.
I'm just wondering how it's justified.
One counterpoint.
You've never
I'm trying to take another
You've never heard the legal term justifiable genocide? Hitler was out of his mind at the time. Clearly insane.
I'm trying to take another opinion so we can have some friction here. It's a television show, honey. I can't agree with everything you
This guy fancies
say.
himself a modern-day Bill Maher.
Thank you for the dumb opinion.
You know, before I did the show, I never realized how much work it took to put on a production like this. Check it out. They spent 2 months building all these incredible sets. They had to coordinate 14 live music acts. And most impressive of all, they had to find a seat filler for Jennifer Lopez. She got a... What the fuck? What was that? Now, maybe you guys are right. Maybe she doesn't have a gigantic ass. I stand corrected. Well, just backstage, a lot of celebrities back there. Man, I was talking to Jerry Jones, you know, the Cowboys owner, and he's disappointed, obviously. Yeah. Well, he's a good guy, though, man. He's talking about rebuilding the team, you know, and he told me, he says, we have to get back to what made us a championship team. Strippers and crack. And of course, there are some important Washington figures who couldn't be here tonight. Vice President Al Gore is not here. Unfortunately, he broke down and they had to leave him in the shop overnight. But they say he'll be all right later. Something wrong with the voice box or something. I don't know what it was. House Speaker Newt Gingrich is not here. A little while back, of course, everybody knows. That Newt pushed through a lot of budget cuts in the arts, particularly in PBS, you know, and the effects are being felt now. I can see it, even as a layman, you know, just watching. You know, the other day I watched that show, the Frugal Gourmet. It changed its name to the Cheap Bastard. I mean, it's crazy. And Senator Ted Kennedy couldn't be here. You know, there's a lot of jokes about Ted Kennedy, but I recently watched an interview. It was very touching. You know, Ted was talking about, or Mr. Kennedy. What the hell am I calling him Ted for? Senator Kennedy was talking about how he proposed to his lovely wife Vicki Reggie, and it was very touching. You know, it was a different side of Ted Kennedy that you don't see. He was very old-fashioned and romantic. You know, when he made the proposal, it was very nice. He got up on one knee and he. It was nice, you know.
We're joined by the talented trio called the Lonely Island.
Yeah,
who
you know
will be
what I
on the
call
big.
them?
What do you call them?
I call him Sandberg and the other couple of fellas.
The Mind Squad
The
is
other
how Rolling Stone put it.
The other two, Akiva and Yorma. Thank you guys for joining us. Andy.
Thanks for knowing our names.
Yeah, no, I read the card. You guys ever been to a thing like this? No. What do you think?
Nothing like this.
It feels so pro and real. Am I on TV? Am I on the internet?
We don't know.
Oh, you're on the computer.
You're on a velvet couch. You're on a maroon velvet couch in the beating hot sun.
Hey, can I ask a serious question? I mean, fuck all these jokes. like when you name yourselves, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever have fucking moments of regret later because it's permanent, almost like a tattoo?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Lonely Island, I was outvoted.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
What were the other runner-up names?
Our first album was called Incredibad, and I wanted that to be the name of the band. But
we would have had regrets about that too, though.
Probably.
Let's be honest.
There's no winning when you're a comedy troupe.
Does that happen a lot?
It all
Yeah,
sucks.
you're a troop.
Who comes up with the ideas, or do you guys fight a lot over ideas, or how does that work?
It's a democratic process.
Yeah.
Two out of three always
Two out
win.
of three wins. Yeah.
Who's always getting left out?
Someone's always mad.
It's whoever's not in town.
Got it.
How do you guys feel in your bodies? Do you feel healthy and strong?
Absolutely not.
I could be eating better.
Yeah.
Yeah, digestion could be going better.
Yeah. I feel like that about
Hey,
myself.
enough of these fucking jokes. Can I ask one more serious question?
Hit me with a real one, Norm.
A real one.
Sandberg, when you went to SNL,
Yeah.
you went different than anybody else because you were already a fucking big hit, right?
I don't think so. Is that true?
We were definitely not a big hit. No.
Oh, Saturday Night Live made you guys a big hit?
Yeah, I mean, we had a small internet following.
Oh, so the computer doesn't really work to make you a big hit?
I mean, that was like 17 years ago, right? How long ago was that? It was a while ago. It's changed now.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you started Incredibad
/ The Lonely Island.
Yeah, The Lonely Island. What's the significance of that name, though? That's what really I wanted to ask. The Lonely Island. You think of all islands as kind of lonely.
Do you really want to hear the story?
Yes, please.
I do a real short version, which is just basically was what we called the apartment we lived on Olympic with all the traffic. It was a sarcastic name from a sarcastic Tennessee Williams style sketch we did about the apartment.
Akiva wrote a one-act play.
God damn, I wish I had a time machine.
To see that action.
Yeah, no, to take back my question.
Thought you were going to say to murder Hitler.
I would not. You know, people always fucking want to murder Hitler with their time machine, right? But then I feel if I got back there, I'd be afraid of falling under the spell of his fucking beautiful eyes.
It's true. You
and
want
oratory, and
then,
then
locked in the gaze.
Yeah, and then I join the fucking party,
That's
knowing
his
me.
thing. He gives you his full attention. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe there's
Norm,
something to this guy.
No, but before you ask another serious
Believe
question,
it or not, they're telling us to wrap it up. I don't exactly know why you guys.
This is fun for everyone.
It's the
For the
Lonely
record,
Island, guys.
I would have killed Hitler. So thanks, gentlemen.
Can I just clarify? if I did go back in time to kill Hitler, I would do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't get lost in his eyes and then
choice.
bail.
Yeah.
Just so I don't get like hit from all the like
I know, all the-
defamation
Yeah,
leads.
no, he would-
of
you would end it. Yeah.
pro.
Listen,
Okay.
man, I'm sorry about.
We gotta wrap it up.
I'm sorry
It's
about
over.
bringing up Hitler.
You really brought this live show to a new
This is
level.
the first one, right? This is your first interview?
it's just gonna get worse from
This is
here.
the first time I've ever interviewed a man.
If you can bring
things to
Hitler
come.
into all of them, they're going to ask you back for sure, which is I know what you want.
That's what we're all hoping for.
Okay, tell him to go now.
Or you could just be
Hey, I love you guys, man. Rock tonight.
Jonathan Schmitz, the Jenny Jones guest who killed his secret gay admirer because of his fear and hatred of homosexuality, has been sentenced to 25 years in prison. Well, I guess that plan backfired, huh?
And you know, as an actor, it's hard, I've heard. But I had a TV show once, Norm. I played Norm. That was the one time I was not funny. No, it was a fine show. But we had a great actor on it, and his name was Jack Warden. You remember Jack Warden?
Of course I remember Jack
My
Warden.
God.
Yeah, great actor.
You remember them.
They have a picture of Jack.
They have a picture of Jack Warden. There he is. You guys remember Jack Warden?
Likeable. A Broadway star, too.
He was. He was on Broadway. He told me he was in the Man in the Glass booth where he had to go an hour and a half, one single monologue. Now, I have him on my show, the Norm Show. I played Norm. And his memory's gone, and he didn't like it, you know, and it frustrated him. And I remember I was in the scene with him, so I had to remember all my lines just in case he got his right. So it was really hard on me as well.
Oh, yeah, it could take a toll on you.
Yeah,
sure.
so I remember the first line he had, we're watching a hockey game. He's a tough old guy, playing a tough old guy. And he was like, his line was supposed to be, I'll tell you, Normie, hockey's no good anymore, not since they put in their helmets. That was the line, right? So he looks over at me and just blank eyes. So I know he don't got nothing. But he's trying to use his acting skills, you know, so he looks at me and goes, Nami, Nami, Nami. And you could see what he remembered through what he said. Like, because he said it at this exact moment. He'd go like, Nami, Nami, Nami. Hockey, Nami. Hockey, Nami. And we're in the set as a rink.
Oh, yeah.
Hockey, Nami. I'll tell you about hockey, Nami. I'll tell you, it's no good anymore, Normie. You know why it's no good anymore, Normie? I'll tell you right now. Normie, Normie, Normie. That was cut. Take two. So then, anyways, Woody Harrelson's really cool. And fucking actors, man, when they're really good, it's like something different.
Right.
You know? And because I'm just waiting for the other fucker to stop talking and hope to God I remember
You're
my
not even
line.
paying attention.
No, I'm just hoping to remember my words. So anyways, fucking what's his name? Woody Harrelson asked me if I want a beer, you know? He goes, you want a beer? I go, no, it's cool. I don't drink, you know. He goes, you don't want a beer? I go, no, I don't drink, but thanks, man. And then I go, you drink? Like, I thought you just smoked weed and all that shit. And then all of a sudden, Milos Forman goes, "Cut! What the fuck is going on?" Like we were in the movie.
You didn't know.
No.
You thought he was talking to you.
Because he was looking at me and talking like a regular person. There was nothing fake about it.
You got caught up in the movie.
He was such a good actor.
You didn't they yell action? There was nothing to do.
No, he doesn't say that.
He doesn't do that.
And then later...
Did you ever meet the real Larry
then
Flint?
later,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I met the real Larry Flint.
What was that like?
Oh, my God. He was at the fucking... It was this dinner where you talk in front of the president or some fucking thing where you're a comedian and the president's standing beside you.
Yeah.
So I was the president. I was the comedian.
Yeah.
And the president was president. Anyway, so whatever. Larry Flint is there, right? So he fucking meets me afterwards in the hallway, and he goes, "Ah!"
Because you don't understand
what the fuck? And I'm uncomfortable with anybody. Yeah, I get uncomfortable with people that have afflictions.
That's the one problem you have. You can't deal with afflictions.
I get nervous, and I look close to them, and then I hope they can't see the horror in my eyes.
I want to know how Larry Flint got that close to the president. Yeah, but go ahead.
He was like, because every year they have a kind of a joke guy, I guess. Or something.
Right.
So he's like, so I have to get close to him. What? And he goes, when you're in L.A., you ever get to L.A.? So I go, yeah, I get to L.A. He goes, I'll take care of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so then I was thinking in my head, like normally if a guy says, like, for instance, if my Uncle Basil said, "Hey, come to the Ottawa Valley, I'll take care of you," that'd mean he'd make you a nice mincemeat pie or something like that.
Right.
This, I had a feeling was...
He's going to fuck you.
He's probably... I think maybe he would have fucked me.
I'm going to put it in your ass there, Norm.
No, he's not.
I'm going to wrestle you and get on top.
He's the straightest guy in the world.
No, get in my lap. I'm going to have you ride around in my chair with me.
No, he's the straightest guy in the world. What I think it would mean is I'd be with some hot lady, and then all of a sudden he'd come in his wheelchair whacking off.
Listen to me.
Have you ever done anything in your long and storied career that you consider specifically to be in bad taste as you look back on it? Maybe at the time you thought it was a good play, but you look back on it and you think that was in bad taste.
Well, sometimes, like in stand-up, I'll do jokes that are like one time I was doing this thing in San Francisco, and they were all gay people in the audience. They told me, so I figured I'll do.
In San Francisco?
Yeah.
No.
So I figured I'd do stuff about gay people so that they could relate to it.
Yeah, it's warm up. They love that.
And so I was talking about, because I went to this gay pride parade, and I saw in it there were these old men and old ladies like with these signs that said, "We are proud of our gay son," you know? And so I was saying, that's an odd thing to be proud of, you know, because it's not an achievement, you know? It's not like something you work all your life to be gay or anything like that. And I just wondered, I had a hard time believing that these 50, 60-year-old men are actually bragging, you know, at work like they're, "Hey, Bill, you know, my kid, oh my God, we're proud of him, Johnny. He graduated from Harvard, you know, first in his class, you know what I mean? Now he's articling over at a law firm, and, oh yeah, he loves cock." You know? This kid. He can't get enough cock in his mouth, his ass, his kid's always cock. I got a picture of the boy here sucking another man's cock. I want to show it to you.
To watch the maturation of you as an artist, to realize it took you 9.5 minutes to get around to the sucking cock stuff. It's beautiful to see you comfortable in your own skin, Normie.
Yeah, quite a year in music, though. Let's look back. A lot of classic songs have been covered this year, haven't they? Lenny Kravitz did "American Woman." Dwight Yoakam did "Crazy Little Thing Called Love." And Barry Manilow released an album entitled Manilow Sings Sinatra. And I'll tell you, it is a great CD, or as I like to call it, it is a great coaster. I like to throw my drinks on that. It's not a good CD at all. And
oh, I have an announcement to read. I almost forgot. I was told to make this announcement. Table 10, wherever you are, table 10. We're sorry your waitress hasn't been there in a while. Larry King just married her. So.
I have to say, though, this is an incredible thing for me. I'm just a punk, and yet here I am. I can't believe I'm speaking in a room. I'm standing in a room here with the most powerful man in the country, Alan Greenspan, and it's a little amazing to me. It's a little, Of course, that's the big story in here in Washington is the recent marriage between NBC's Andrea Mitchell and Alan Greenspan, who is 71 years old. And this is sweet, I didn't know this. They wrote their own vows, She promised to love, honor, and speak into his good ear. So that was it's kind of sweet,
Oh, we're back. I just have word that all the stars are out. Rhett McLaughlin and Charles Lincoln Neal just were spotted. All the stars. It was good to see those workaholic guys because I personally am a workaholic. For many years, I was helplessly addicted to workahol. The Roastmaster General, Jeff Ross, joins us.
Hi,
Yes.
Jeff.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, you got the first
Hello, world.
applause. Yeah.
Norm, this is so fun. Thank
Jeff,
you for having
man.
me on your live podcast.
It's always fun to see you without a giant cloud of marijuana smoke between us.
Well, it's outdoors. It drifted away.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy? You got your hair cut a little.
I had a little trim. I was at the doggy groomer for 2 hours today.
I have a question, Jeff. You usually show up wearing something very exotic.
Yeah.
Why the denim today?
I dressed like Billy Jack.
Yeah.
You look
You look
sharp.
great.
I
Thank you,
like
Jenny.
it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're trying to up my game for the live YouTube show.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're a hot fucking piece of ass.
Look at that. I do all my shopping at the mall. Have you ever been to Forever 41?
Forever 41.
Norm, you're
Listen.
dressing like you're going to help somebody move. You're wearing sweatpants to the biggest show in YouTube history.
This is the biggest show on the internet.
You dress like you're going to paint the set.
He can't help himself. I gotta ask you this, though. Hey, I saw, by the way, on the computer, a show you do now called Morning Roast. Unbelievable. You wake up in the morning, you turn on your computer, there's Jeff Ross waking up himself, roasting somebody. How's that work?
Well, whatever comes to my hungover head, I just start making fun of, and
Yeah.
I put it up on my YouTube page.
God damn, it's funny.
Who should I roast this week?
What about Cassim?
Yeah,
It would be an honor if you could just do me.
He's an Arab, if that helps.
I only roast celebrities, Cassim, so you're off the hook.
Orange is the new black. But not in my apartment building. Kevin is the new black.
Today is the 11th birthday of President Obama's youngest daughter, Sasha, or as I like to call her, the uppity one.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Jesus
I'm a
Christ.
regular mortal.
I really appreciate you coming on here tonight. I don't know if you've heard, but I'm not going to be around much longer.
Yes,
I'm
I
leaving
know,
the
and
show.
I understand there's only 12 shows left, and this may be my last appearance.
Well, I hope not, but.
So I was going to ask for a souvenir.
You know, you're the first person to bring this up, and I'm touched. And I want to say to you, Norm, as a friend and as somebody I have admired your entire career, whatever you want is yours. Except, Todd, you're not giving up the sweatshirt, are you? Anything you want.
Okay, excellent. Well, maybe, I know.
What? No, wait a minute. That's, Norm, those are expensive. Can you? Be careful. Oh, my God. Norm, look out. It's fine. That's fine. It's still under warranty. Okay, we'll be right back with Norm MacDonald.
I'll tell you what, this is what happened to me with a psychiatrist once. I think this is why I don't do it anymore.
You did go to a psychiatrist.
When I was a young man, I
Yes.
was like 17, a trouble kid, and they sent me to a psychiatrist.
Right.
And I talked to the guy, and I talked to him twice, right?
Right.
Next week, he fucking commits suicide.
Is that true?
So it's in the paper that I'm reading about. The guy's the worst fucking life ever. Like coke and again, I shouldn't say the worst, but just the worst fucking life. And I felt so bad because here I am yammering to him on his last week of life about, my God, my mother.
You did MTV Beach House recently, and there's a certain kind of person you expect to show up on the MTV Beach House, and I hear, we'll be right back with MTV Beach House, our special guest, NORM MACDONALD. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
It's this.
What was that?
It's this show on MTV, right?
I know.
And it's at a beach.
It's at a beach.
And they don't script anything. Like, they do like for anyway. So the dude, the host, was like, "Hey, Norm, do you mind wearing a pair of trunks? Bathing trunks?" And I go, "No, I don't want to wear that. Because I'm like, my body's like all weird looking and everything." And everybody else is super hot ladies and super hot men. I don't, whatever.
Whatever you. Wow.
So,
got an issue about that. All right, go ahead.
So I'm on the show, right? So they're saying, "Hey, come on, seriously, put on the trunks." I'm like, "No, man, I don't want to." So then they think this will be funny. They go, "Hey, we're going to show you a fashion show. Some dudes will come out, and show you, you see what you think." I go, "What?" So all of a sudden, these 3 dudes come out, right, dancing around in their thongs and shorts and everything.
They're wearing thongs or shorts? Which one?
Bathing trunks, but some of them are like thongs where you can see their dirty arses. So, so I'm like watching it, and I'm like, oh,
it's like
man.
Chaucer. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm like, I guess it is.
Okay, go
Old
ahead.
English. So I said, oh, yeah, no, I'm pretending to go, oh, yeah, that's funny, right? And
you do a lot of that at MTV, yeah.
So then the guy, the host, he goes to this one guy who was very, very, very gay. He goes,
what? How do you know that?
No, I mean,
you had a sign?
Yeah, he looked very, very gay. He says to this dude, he says, "Hey, I'll give you $20 if you lap dance on Norm." You know what I mean?
Right.
All of a sudden, this dude like, "Hey, $20. I guess he didn't have much money." Starts running towards me, right? So I look up. Here's this nude, almost nude dude running towards me, right? So I think in my head, okay, man, pretty soon the guy's going to be writhing around on my lap with his ass, and I don't want that on TV, forever.
No, it's okay to talk about it, but you don't want to see it.
Right. They videotape that, and it's there forever. So, meanwhile, what can I do? You can't hit a guy because it looks bad. You know what I mean? Even though, of course, a woman could hit a naked guy running at him.
Sure, that's
fine.
okay.
But a man can't hit him.
Yeah.
So I have to think fast. There's only a second. So I bolt. I take off, right?
You started running, too?
Yeah, running down the beach.
The guy catch you or no?
Yeah, and then I had to come back on. They're like, "Oh, Mr. Homophobic. I won't let a guy grind his ass into you."
Norm MACDONALD trolled a lot of comedians over the span of his career, whether it be Anthony Jeselnik, David Spade, or Doug Stanhope. If you were anywhere near Norm, there was a really good chance he'd play a practical joke on you. So what happens when the king of jokes encounters what a lot of the internet and comedy space online considers the antithesis of jokes? Well, you're about to find out. Also, if you think my voice is AI, you're wrong. Joe Rogan has a bit of a reputation for missing jokes on his podcast and ducking punchlines from other comedians. We've even seen him get agitated at Harlan Williams for really committing to his bit when he was on his podcast.
Or by getting mauled by a Pride Alliance.
Well,
does that mean they're gay if it's a Pride Alliance, by the way?
No, Pride isn't always gay.
Okay, they look gay to me.
Pride didn't used to be gay. It used to be like MRSA is medication-resistant staph infection.
Wow, a lot of black gospel singers get that, I hear.
MRSA?
Oh, that's Mercy. I'm sorry.
I'll show some more examples of this later on, but if you don't know the story Joe always tells about Norm MACDONALD, I'll bring you up to speed really quick. Basically, Norm and Joe ran into each other on a plane, and Joe tells the story on his podcast anytime somebody brings up Norm MACDONALD.
Have you hung out with him?
Yeah.
I've never hung out with him.
I hung out with him twice accidentally. On 2 separate occasions,
the airplane.
On planes. I told you about it, right?
I heard they are the one of them, and the smoking.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
As soon as he landed, he was talking about how great it was to quit smoking. As soon as he landed, he ran into the gift shop and bought cigarettes and was lighting them before he was on his way out the door. I go, "I thought you quit." He goes, "I did. Talking about it. I wanted to smoke."
Yeah, he just does what he wants.
But randomly, on 2 occasions, I just was sitting next to him on a plane.
So the story itself is pretty funny as a Norm fan, because this was obviously Norm playing a little bit of a practical joke on our boy Joe. What's even funnier, though, is that Joe still doesn't understand that Norm actually never quit smoking, and he was just messing with him the entire time. In fact, he likely still doesn't even know that Norm was messing with him the whole time. Obviously, it's really cool and fun to sit next to Norm on a plane randomly twice, but for him to run the "I just quit smoking" bit and Joe not get it is really funny and makes the bit even better. Joe has told the story on his podcast a bunch of times, and I'm pretty sure it comes up every time somebody on the show mentions Norm Macdonald. Like he told Tom Green on episode 2108 of the podcast, and Tom even told Joe that this is probably an elaborate setup and that Norm probably never quit smoking in the first place.
I was on a plane with him accidentally twice.
Nice.
Twice.
That must have been amazing.
Twice on 2 separate occasions. Just the moment we land, he walks into the gift shop, buys a pack of cigarettes, and he's lighting them before he gets out the door.
Yeah.
And I go, I thought you quit. He goes, I did, but all that talking about it made me want to smoke.
Yeah, it's probably all an elaborate setup, right? He probably was planning it the whole way.
I don't know.
Who knows? He probably doesn't even smoke. He was just doing it as a gag. No, he was.
Well, he was into gambling too, right? So
Yeah.
like people that have those kind of like impulse control issues, like gambling is a big impulsive thing. Like, I'm gonna fucking bet. I'm gonna bet on it.
Even when Tom tells Joe, Joe just says, I don't know, like it might be real and not be a bit. Tom Green is a Canadian comedian who is really good friends with Norm. He probably knows him better than a lot of comedians did. So if he's saying it's a bit and Joe won't take the hint, then he's probably never going to realize that it was just a bit. Joe also told the story to Colin Quinn on the podcast, and Colin pretty much did exactly the same thing that Tom Green did and said there's no chance that Norm actually started smoking again, and that this was almost certainly just a goof. But once again, Joe plays coy and can't wrap his dick and balls around the fact that Norm was just fucking with him. I know Joe Rogan is big on not reading the comments, but anytime Joe mentions the plane story or Norm is mentioned on his podcast, there's a barrage of people who joke about Joe telling the same story over and over again, and these comments are so fucking funny anytime I read them. Now, I don't think that Norm disliked Joe Rogan. At worst, he probably just doesn't find Joe very funny, which he wouldn't be the first to think that if it was true. Like, there were several times he would joke about the Death Squad, which was a comedy group that Joe was a part of that included like Brian Redband, Tom Segura, Tony Hinchcliffe, and Ari Shaffir, and I think a few others.
We're all good. So you opened for Mencia, which made you the enemy of the Death Squad.
Yeah. Because
it's like a Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah, it's just like it.
So the Death Squad.
I don't know what Bruce Lee movie.
They're comedians.
Yeah.
Well, don't you think Death Squad makes more sense in a Bruce Lee movie than a comedy club?
That's true. That's true.
I went to a comedy club, and then the next week the Death Squad were there. It's just odd.
So even though Norm has made fun of Joe Rogan and the Death Squad as a whole, I really don't think that there's any bad blood between them. There was one time back in 2016 that Tony Hinchcliffe allegedly stole a joke from Norm, and he actually tweeted at Norm about the situation, asking if Joe could vouch for him. Joe obviously defended Tony, but then Norm basically said that the joke was definitely stolen in his eyes. So even when Joe vouched for Tony, it didn't really mean shit to Norm anyway. Then again, Norm might not have even cared that much and just wanted to fuck around with Joe. That's one of the funniest things about Norm, was that you never really knew if he was being completely serious or not. Norm also trolled Doug Stanhope on Twitter when he said he would tell the story about how Doug changed his comedy career forever, and ended up never telling the story. So Norm was a big troll on Twitter, which makes me think maybe he wasn't even being serious when he tweeted at Joe about Tony and just wanted to stir the pot a little bit. I don't know, maybe you guys could leave your thoughts on that. Joe has said many times on the show how much he loves Norm Macdonald, which, all of us do, and he said he would have done anything in his power to get him on the podcast. In fact, I think having Norm on would have broken the internet because of how many jokes Joe would have probably missed from Norm. As we know, Norm is the king of trolling, and we've also seen plenty of instances where Joe just completely misses jokes when said by other comedians on his show.
Have you heard of this?
I've heard of this, yeah.
Right, so it's going to be some sort of a quarter-sized thing they screw into your fucking head and a bunch of wires in there that lets you download information quicker. You're going to be able to talk with no words. That's his exact words to me.
Probably use your phone on a plane, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you can now.
And I was like, whatever, if I get fired here, whatever, I'll just go do Joe Rogan next week and I'll be fine. Anyway, I thought that was funny. No?
What?
I think it's safe to say Joe would have definitely had several bits fly over his head if Norm ever went on. I also know we would hear Joe bring up the story of the time he sat next to Norm on the plane and asked Norm about the smoking thing in person. And Norm, being as funny and as brilliant as he is, would have probably rolled with the punches and kept playing along with the bit and saying, Joe, you know I wasn't joking, right? Tom Green and Colin Quinn were lying to you. Those dirty dogs. You know Norm would have played a few more tricks on Joe just for old time's sake. Norm might have even taken it further and said, Joe, you know us sitting next to each other on the plane wasn't random, right? I had actually been following you both of those times. Or just some other goofy Norm type of shit he would say. Sadly, we'll never know for sure now that Norm is taking a dirt nap with Larry King. I think Norm was supposed to go on Joe Rogan's podcast at some point because there was an Ask Me Anything that Norm did where he was asked about going on Joe's podcast and he said he would do it. Then again, if you read this response and think about the type of guy Norm was, you might just see this and assume Norm was fucking around and actually had no plans to go on Joe's podcast at all. Obviously, we'll never 100% know for sure. I actually figured 2018 would have been a perfect time for Norm to go on Joe's podcast after all the Me Too stuff happened to him. If you haven't heard about this, I made a whole video covering it. Basically, Norm made some comments about like the Me Too movement and the backlash people received from it, and that got him in trouble. And he was also apparently contracted with Netflix when he had that show, Norm MacDonald Has a Show, and they said they didn't want him going on Joe's podcast, which really sucks because I figured Joe's platform could have helped Norm clear his name a little bit because honestly, he got in trouble for really not any good reason at all. Instead, he chose to go on that one show with all of those yammering bitches. I'm confident that Norm did still like Joe, even though he didn't find him funny more than likely, because after all the trolling and jokes about the Death Squad, according to Adam Egget, they were planning on starting up Norm's podcast, Norm MacDonald Live, again at some point, and they wanted Joe to be the first guest back.
I've been talking to Norm MacDonald a lot lately. I think we're gonna start the podcast up again. So, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna have. I think we would kill for you to be the first guest.
I would love to do it. I'm 100% in.
Oh, thank God. In. Yeah, we have some good guests lined up. So now we're just gonna figure it out.
When are you gonna do your thing with Norm again? You gonna start soon?
Yeah, we've been planning for a while now. So now we're just going to. We just need to put all the nuts and bolts into place, and then get a studio, get a camera, and just do it. But you're going to be the first guest.
I'm in.
And this was at a time when Joe really wasn't doing anybody else's podcast, so for Joe to be so enthusiastic about going on just goes to show how much Norm meant to Joe. It's good that this fucking douchebag Adam Egget took some time away from his shift underneath the Queensboro Bridge to talk to Joe Rogan. I will say, if you look at the comments of this Adam Egget clip about Norm MacDonald with Joe Rogan, the comments are absolutely hysterical. If you're a Norm fan, my God, you gotta go check out these comments right now. In all seriousness, though, I really don't think Adam was trolling Joe because they have a very close working relationship together since Adam books the Comedy Mothership and previously he booked the Comedy Store. So from the sounds of it, Norm really did want to collaborate with Joe and have him on Norm MacDonald Live. Sadly, we never got to see it though, which is a damn shame because I really think the dynamic between the two of them would have been great. I know a lot of people don't think Joe's very funny, and I understand your opinion on that, but I really do think that together they would have been an interesting duo on a show. Maybe we would have gotten to see Adam Egget get the shit beaten out of him by Norm and then Joe right after, back to back. Despite Joe not understanding that Norm was totally trolling him with the smoking bit, I'm happy he doesn't get it though, because that just makes the bit even funnier for all of us Norm fans. And anytime I hear him tell the story, I'll give him a pass because it is my favorite comedian he's talking about. But anyway, what do you guys think about this? Do you wish we could have gotten to see Norm on Joe Rogan's podcast? Are you happy we never got to see it because of who Joe is? What other comedian would you have liked to see Norm MacDonald make fun of on Norm MacDonald Live? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you want to support me more, you can check out my second channel and get to know me better as a person. Other than that, thanks for all the likes, shares, and subscribes. I appreciate you all a bunch. Let me know if you like this type of cadence and delivery in the video narration better as well, because it was a little bit more fun to record the video like this, and if it's easier for you guys to listen to, I'll definitely keep it going moving forward. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.
No, I used to hang out with Norm MacDonald a lot. Me and Norm were really close.
God, I loved him.
And we used to go play tennis. And after we played tennis, we'd go into like the 7-Eleven. And we'd always do this thing where we go, okay, we're going to go in together. And each of us has to point at one item and make a joke about it. And it was really hard. Like,
so hard.
like people think making jokes as a comedian is easy, but it's not. But I'll never forget Norm did this. It's the only one I remember. but I pointed to, you remember those things, animal crackers?
Yeah.
And I pointed to the animal crackers, and Norm just goes, that horse cock didn't taste very good.
There's a lot of guys who sort of all of a sudden are like real big players.
Yeah, Norm got his own TV show.
Norm's doing well. What?
What?
Do you hang out with Norm, or is it impossible?
It's pretty impossible because he's crazy.
He is.
In L.A., I call him and he goes, I go, what happened last week? I called you to go on. You called me? And I go, yeah. On my phone? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, yeah, I got that. I go, well, you didn't call me back? No.
And he's serious.
Yeah, he's crazy.
And yeah, I know. Like, I have him on the show.
I love him, though. He's the funniest guy around. I think you need to be kind of crazy to be really funny.
He is very funny. I love him, too. And he has a gambling problem, you know.
Yeah.
He was telling us how
secret.
He was all excited that he had 80,000. He won $80,000 in Vegas, but he had lost like 100,000 on basketball.
Right. And that's on nickel slots. That's how serious he is.
Did you always know he had a gambling problem?
Mm-hmm.
You did. When did you know that? At Saturday Night Live?
I first knew he had a pee in a bottle problem.
Right.
Remember that? You always talk about
Yeah, it's
that.
great.
And then I knew.
Does he still save his urine? Do you know?
I don't know. He used to put it in Ziploc baggies, sign it, and send it to fans.
Is that true?
No.
Oh.
But he did. He would take, after Saturday Night Live, they give you a car, a limousine, if you want to go to the party, and he would take it to Atlantic City.
Really?
Yeah. He's a hard ass. He's hardcore, dude.
I know he'll even get into fist fights.
And then he'll stay at a table for hours and hours.
What do you think of that?
I feel lucky.
And then you don't even know if he's married or single. It's never really clear.
I don't know, but I know girls like him. He's when you're something's that wrong, they pick up on it and like it.
They like the tragedy of that.
Fixer-upper, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna make him a regular guy.
Right, but it never
I
worked.
don't know if Norm still tours. You'd be a good compliment for Norm, man.
You don't think I'm too much, too similar?
I don't know. I think it'd be funny.
Jeez, he's my hero.
I think it'd be work. Yeah.
I'd be blown away.
Yeah, the guy's amazing.
Never met him.
Very funny. Well, just it's such an impressive stand-up to see live. You know?
Yeah.
Because you think right before he goes on, I opened up for him for about a year, and after we did Dirty Work, and then he always think like no matter where you are, you think like he's not going to make it. Like he goes, he's holding his stomach. He goes, I can't do this, man. I'm not going to make it here. I don't want to go on. I don't want to go on. I want to quit. Like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And you got to push him in front of the microphone, and then he does an hour and 45 and like destroys. Doesn't take the mic out like this, like and then he just leaves.
Yeah. I saw him at Caroline's when I was broke. I was poor. I wasn't even in the club, so I had to pay the real fee. You know, I couldn't be like, I'm a comic. They didn't know me.
I know.
And
you mean the fair prices over there too?
Yeah, right. I spent like $70.
That's great when you're broke.
Yeah, and I went and saw him, and he was killing, and he got heckled in the middle of the show, and he's drinking a Coca-Cola, and he just goes, it's dead silent, this tension, like, what's he gonna say? And he just goes, I don't know what to do about that, you know. And then he goes back to the act. I've never seen anyone handle a heckle like that.
I don't know how to do about it.
Yeah.
Now sometimes I just go,
Funniest guy on the planet.
No, he really is. He's up there. He's very, very funny. He's a fun guy to talk. See, doing the road with a guy like that is fun for the late night conversations that last till 6 a.m.
Right.
About show business, about who he hates.
Yeah.
Like you start talking about who you hate.
Yes.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's the funnest stuff.
Oh, and who sucks and who you hate and this and that and the other thing, and then of course
stories. I got two good Norm stories.
Good.
My first comedy club gig ever is in Catch a Rising Star, Princeton. And Norm MacDonald, this is 1990 or 91. Norm's done a few local talk shows in America, small time, but he hasn't made it in America. He's kind of got a little following, but now he's starting to headline in America at comedy clubs. This is at a time where in New Jersey, if you weren't telling dirty nursery rhymes wearing a leather jacket, you weren't really interesting to anybody. But here's Norm, this goofy Canadian accent, really telling these long, weird bits for 8 shows. And he probably bombed 3 out of 8 shows. Whenever he killed, he would kill, when it was a sophisticated crowd, he would get him and he would kill. He would just go backstage, he'd pull out a deck of cards, and he'd make me and Rich Voss play poker with him. When he bombed, Norm would go to the exit and say goodbye to every single person who left. Just to be weird and make us laugh and be awkward for the people. He would thank everyone for coming after he bombed.
Serious?
He was such a nut.
I love that. That's a committed person. But that's what I love.
You were Norm's assistant?
And I was Norm's assistant, and I wish I could like go back to
You
those
got any
days.
Norm stories?
Yeah, I hear this is my best Norm story.
Yeah.
So I went to the guys would like take me out, like Keckner and Norm and Spade, and they're all fucking gems, like really, really nice guys. They were always so nice to me, and I think they liked having me around because I was like a young kid, and I would laugh, you know, and I was just in fucking heaven, like. So they take me out. They took me out one night, and they were getting drunk and whatever, and so I meet this Australian girl, and you know, we go back, fool around, whatever, and I come into work the next day. And I turn to Norm and I go, I gotta tell you something, man. I go, and don't tell anybody. And he goes, oh yeah, I won't tell anybody, you know. And I go, like, last night, I went out with this girl, the girl at the bar. She goes, she snorted cocaine off my cock, like that. And I was like, I don't know, I'm 20 years old or whatever, you know. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I'm in the city for the first time, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And he goes, wow. He goes, oh my God, that's crazy. Cocaine after your cock. And I go, but don't tell anybody, you know, 'cause I don't want anyone to know. Like, and so then maybe like, I don't know, 5 minutes later, the fucking UPS guy comes in, you know, with the packages or whatever. And he's like, oh, hey, Daryl. And he's like, hey, Norm, how you doing? He's like, hey, you see this guy right here? Guy likes to get cocaine snorted off his cock. And I was like, you know, now I wouldn't be embarrassed, but I'm fucking mortified. I'm like, I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah.
And he did it. He did it for like 3 months.
To everybody.
At any point, like I'd be standing there with the jokes. He'd be like, Jason, go get the jokes. And he'd be smoking on the hallway, and he'd be like, no. Because, you know, he fucking had like a really high bar for jokes. Like, fuck that. I'd be like, oh my God. And then there'd be like a page standing next to him. He'd be like, hey, you know, Jason? Guy likes to have cocaine snorted off his guy. So fucking funny. He did it to my mom. He said it to my mom once.
No.
Yeah. And then I remember because the other part of the job was that I would work the door at the parties. And my mom came down for the party.
At the after party.
The after party.
Yeah.
And she, and I was trying to keep Norm away from my mom so he wouldn't say that to my mom. And of course he goes, you know, Jason likes to have cocaine. Snorted off his cock. And my mom was great. She goes, well, I bet you do a lot of weird stuff too, Norm.
Can you share some of the stuff?
With Norm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you have with Norm?
It was just, he reached out. He was a big, when people were going through it, Norm was one of the guys that would always reach out. And yeah, that was it. Just reached out. He sent me some cool stuff about like, funny will win.
Yeah.
That was the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
that's
was
amazing.
like, there's a war right. I don't want to spill the beans on a nice thing, but it was like,
You guys had a private thing.
yeah, it was cool.
But
and
he
it
was
ended,
very supportive when you were going
he
through your
spoke
stuff.
like poetically.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And it ended, one of the messages ended with like, in a war for comedy, I think the ones with jokes will win. And I was just like, yo,
Yeah.
That's fire.
Norm MacDonald is king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
amazing.
in no way has to do that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
To reach out, you know, especially at that time, I thought was really cool.
It was 2 years ago. I mean, he had,
Yeah, as he's battling something, no disrespect,
Yes.
way worse.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, hey,
Yeah.
you need help?
I was with Adam Egget most of the time in Austin. The guy, you know Adam?
Yeah. From
And-
the store, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So me and Adam went to the Cowboys-Eagles game, and we were hanging out, and the whole time, because he was best friends with Norm.
Yeah.
So he was like
Yeah.
going through it, but he went through it the same way as like we just talked like Norm the whole time. Like the whole game, we'd be like, you must have. Yeah, you got hit pretty hard. You know what's worse than getting hit like that? Blood cancer. It's no good, that blood cancer. Just like that the whole time. It was great. I hope that wasn't sharing too much for Adam.
No.
But it was fun. Norm's the best.
Yeah.
Well, it was, but he died of fucking. Oh, right. I forgot he fucking vanished.
Yeah.
Norm.
Yeah.
Classic.
Years old, right? And I'm 16 in the audience. And then I got to become this huge fan of Norm. And he was Norm. But back then, there wasn't a lot of people doing stand-up like Norm. Like there wasn't this sort of angle of sort of this absurdity to it, this sort of There was more of a structured, down the middle way of doing stand up back then, and so Norm was this sort of, it was a curveball. Yeah, this sort of curveball, and we just couldn't get enough of it. So every time we was in town, we'd be down there. But Howard Wagman told me this story about Norm, and the first time he came down to do stand up at Yuck Yucks in Ottawa, and he got off stage and he was disappointed in how it went. Norm was. He said, "I'm never doing this again." He walked down the street. Howard Wagman chased him down Spark Street in Ottawa and said, "No, that was great. You're coming back." And he made him come back, and the rest is history.
I was on a plane with him accidentally twice.
Nice.
Twice.
That must have been amazing.
Twice on two separate occasions. Just totally random. We sat next to each other on the plane, like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And the last one, it was so funny because he was telling me about how he quit smoking. Yeah, I quit smoking. It's fucking, turns out it's real bad for you. Like, this whole thing about quitting smoking. And we're talking about it, like, how hard was it to quit? This whole thing. The moment we land, he walks into the gift shop, buys a pack of cigarettes, and he's lighting them before he gets out the door. And I go, "I thought you quit." He goes, "I did, but all that talking about it made me want to smoke."
Yeah, it's probably all an elaborate setup, right? He probably was planning it the whole way.
I don't know.
Who knows? He probably doesn't even smoke. He was just doing it as a gag. No, he was.
Did you know he was sick?
I didn't know.
No, me either. You said you had two stories. There was what's the other one?
Oh, so he'd invite me over to SNL once in a while to play poker on off nights, on Monday nights or something, and to watch him play poker while watching Monday Night Football and a baseball game. Like, he was a gambler,
right?
And I guess somehow one time I found myself on a tape night on a live SNL. I'm in the hallway with a bunch of pages, writers, basically plus ones filling out the hallway. I don't know if I'm sure you've been up there enough to know that where the reception is, there's a lot of hubbub.
Right.
You can go to the dressing rooms this way, and to the right is the studio, and makeup, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I believe Rosie O'Donnell was hosting SNL, and her very best friend Penny Marshall was there to support her. Penny Marshall, at the height of her movie director swag, is walking through the hallway with her head down, sunglasses on, baseball hat, doesn't want to be bothered, treating all these basically writers and NBC employees and me and Norm as big-timing us, pretending we're just looky-loos out on the street, right? Just doing a celebrity don't bother me moment. Flyby. Thank you. And Norm picks up on it, and he just starts pointing and screaming, "Laverne! Laverne! Laverne!" And she didn't look up. She never knew it was Norm. She's just gone.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, the whole hallway's falling down. Like,
I wonder if he's doing it.
He did Last Comic Standing. He was the only honest judge. He would tell comics they were hacks. It was awesome. The comics hated him. Joe List did it, and he goes, "Joe, you're a very good writer." And Anthony Jeselnik goes, "Hey, Joe, that Norm just called you ugly," which is such a great line.
Damn.
But, oh, my God.
I met him twice, and the first time I met him was I was doing this comedy-style competition at Caroline's, and it was the Final Four. It was me, Dan Soder, who eventually beat me in the final two. It was me, Soder, Nick Cobb, and Adam Newman.
Wow.
And Norm MacDonald was just chilling in the crowd, watching.
Damn.
And he couldn't have been nicer. He was so freaking nice to all of us.
Yeah.
Complimenting our acts, being like, "Man, I could never do this type of thing," So cool. And then the other time I met him was on Last Comic Standing when he was a judge, and I got eliminated in the first round. I had a pretty good set, better than a lot of people who moved on, but it's NBC, let's face it.
That's how it goes.
But I remember I had one joke that Norm singled out and goes, "That joke is gold." And that to me was like, it was, to me, I didn't even feel that bad. I got locked off because I was like, Norm MacDonald, who is the judge that I connected to his work the most, it was Roseanne and Keenan. I connect to Roseanne's politics, of course, but no. But it was Roseanne and Keenan Ivory Wayans, and like obviously I love In Living Color, but Norm, I'm a comic. Norm was the guy I connected with, and the joke he loved was I said, my last girlfriend was a hoarder and she broke up with me, which stings extra hard. I'm like the one thing she can get rid of. And he said he loved that joke. And then Keenan kind of digged me in the last comic thing. He said, I like some of your jokes, but not all of them. And I said, well, I loved all your scary movie films. And it got a huge laugh. And he said, I only did the first 2. And I was like, all right. I remember I saw Norm in the food.
Yeah.
He couldn't let it pass. He couldn't take the L on that one. I knew I was out after that.
Right.
And then I'm walking through the thing. It was like a break. I guess they were taking a break, the paid audience. And I see Norm and he goes, I really like that you dug it.
Oh.
So that was a special moment.
He's the real deal. He really is.
Yeah, I think he could tell. And I said I met you once at Caroline's, and I told him I really.
Because my story with Norm it doesn't start out great, because I did Last Comic Standing in 2000 and whatever. It never aired. And I did my joke, and I did well, and it was him. It was Damon Wayans and Roseanne.
Yeah.
And Roseanne liked me. Damon Wayans, he was not. He was just like, yeah. He just smiled and laughed. I think he said right on. I don't know what he was just barely there. He wasn't, I don't remember anything either way. And then Norm was like, how many years have you been doing comedy? I'm like, 4. He's like, what? It takes 10 years to be a comedian. What are you doing here? I was like, ah. And I remember that was the biggest gut punch I got in stand-up. And I remember being at the Hilton by where they shoot all those shows. By where is that? Universal City?
Yeah.
That area?
Yeah.
I was in the Hilton and I was just like I couldn't even eat. I was like, this is horrible. And I spoke to one of the comics I was staying with at that point, and he was like, Last Comic Standing. He's like, you go in there and they pay legends to tell you not to do what you love, which is kind of what. But I got over it. I kept doing it. And then he became a fan of us later on and a lot of shit we were doing. And he was right. I was a 4-year, 5-year comic then. It's like, you do need more time to mature.
But he used to, speaking of Spade, when we did, we all staying at the hotel in Boston, this nice hotel. And one day we were just sitting in Spade's room because he had a big room,
Yeah.
And we're all sitting there and then suddenly the door rings and it's like $800 worth of steaks and stuff like that. And then Spade's like, I don't think I ordered this. No, goes, I ordered it. I figured you said you were hungry before. And he's like, eh. And he would do it all the time. Spade. And then Spade would just be so funny along, yeah, I don't know if I wanted to pay for everybody to eat. These people I don't even know. I figured you're hungry. Everybody's probably hungry. You guys are hungry. You just be sitting there and you eat the steak, just cut it like cartoon technique.
Yeah, right.
This is good steak.
With his oversized T-shirt.
And it would play off each other. Watching them was one of the funniest things, like watching a TV show.
I was writing bad sketch jokes my first year in LA with a friend of mine at the Coffee Bean. I don't even think it's there anymore, across from the mall. And it's late and they're about to close down. And in walks Norm MacDonald. And the girl says to me, who I'm writing with, this girl that I worked with at a production company, she says to me, she goes, oh yeah, you know who that is, right? And I go, holy fuck, holy shit. And she goes, that's the Bob Dole guy. I go, the Bob Dole guy?
Oh, I would have ripped her eyes out.
I mean, I was like, it's fucking Norm MacDonald. And
Yeah.
she's like, no, I know, I forgot his name. I was like,
Oh,
what?
God.
So we sit there and I'm kind of fanboying out and I'm just kind of, not trying to face him, and he's ordering coffee and I keep kind of looking over just to cause you just want to get a glimpse. Cause when I'm 22, I just moved to LA. I was like, fuck, holy shit, it's Norm MacDonald. He comes in there where the coffee is. He looks over. She's a pretty girl. Okay. And obviously doesn't see me at all. Doesn't know I exist. And he's kind of trying to talk her up a little bit. He's like, what are you guys doing? And she goes, oh, we're writing sketches. And he goes, oh yeah, I know a thing or two about sketches. And both of us were like, yeah, no, we know. And I started stumbling. I'm like, no, I was a fan of your sketches,
right. Yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go next door. I'm gonna get a Steinbeck novel. Barnes and Noble. There used to be a Barnes and Noble. He goes,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a Steinbeck novel. I'm laughing, thinking he's just making jokes. And he goes, I'll be back. Okay, I'll be back. And he
Yeah.
walks out, and I'm like, whoa, how fucking cool was that? Hand to God. He comes back in with a Steinbeck novel, and sits down by us, and just starts talking.
Oh my God.
I swear on my life.
Oh my God.
It was almost like he started a Norm engine and he just wanted to talk. So he just started talking and talking and talking and telling stories. And I shouldn't tell it, like, I don't want to fuck it up, but the best story he told, I said, what was your most, like, secret fun thing that happened at SNL that, like, you know, like, what was some inside shit? And he goes, Smigel and I, Robert Smigel. If you don't know who Robert Smigel is, he's Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. He's the voice and the genius behind that. Smigel's a fucking phenomenal genius writer and comedian. He goes, Smigel and I, we used to write sketches for Tracy, because we knew Tracy Morgan. We knew Tracy, you know, he was bad in table reads. He couldn't read for shit. You know, he's a fucking stumble through words, you know. So one time we wrote this sketch that we knew was going to tank. Lauren hated it. And we showed it to Tracy anyway because we knew he had trouble reading. He had someone helping him read. He had bad time with S's. So we wrote this sketch about this guy who's like a gay animal handler named Brian Fellows. Do you remember that sketch?
Yeah.
Brian Fellows? And he goes, if you look, the best part for us was it was Brian Fellows, apostrophe S, Safari Planet. It was 3 S's in a row is the sketch that we pitched. So in the room, even though the sketch was bad, we knew Tracy would go, Brian Fellows, this is Brian Fellows, this is Safari Planet. And we knew we would crush in the room. He goes, and everybody lost it. The sketch, he was like, the sketch was terrible. But Tracy would go, Brian Fellows, this is Safari Planet. And Norm goes, and he goes, that is the funniest thing. We used to fuck with Tracy all the time. And dude, I was like, my heart was filled with comedy warmth. This is the most wild part. Again, I don't believe that this happened. To myself, I'm going, this is a lie. You're making this up.
Right.
But she's my proof. We walk out when they finally close the doors. After they're like, Mr. McDonald, you can stay. You know, the Coffee Bean kids are sitting just listening. We all walk outside, and he starts taking off, kind of headed north on La Cienega. And as a joke, my friend goes, do you want to ride? Are you walking? And he goes, no, I don't want to get in the car with you. And we start laughing, and he goes, okay, shotgun. And he comes and runs, sits in the front seat.
No.
I swear to God on my life.
Oh, my God.
Her car. I'm sitting in the back seat, and he's showing us where to go, and we drop him off at his house, and at this complex. And he gets out, and he kind of opens the door, and we didn't say anything the whole car ride.
Right.
We just listened to him going, left here, right here. And he gets out, and he turns and looks in the car, and all he said,
or tattoos, you know, like of me as Joe Dirt. You know, they send you, a lot of you get a lot of tattoos of stuff, like things you say or photos or whatever, or they send me ones of Farley or whatever. So this guy sends me he's got Norm of all morons on his hand, Norm MacDonald. So I text Norm, I just send it to him. I go, hey, you have fans. And then I put in parentheses, fan. all we know is for sure this one guy. And then of course, like days later, David, hello, it's me, Norm. How are you? Have you ever texted with Norm?
No, I haven't. No.
Times 1,000. He just goes, he waits days, and then at 3 a.m, hello? I go, Norm, what are you doing? Are you answering me from 4 days ago? Is that what you're doing? Dave, it's Norm. Do you like money? Yes, Norm, I like money. Why? Would you like to have more money than all your wildest dreams? Yes, I would. And then an hour later, would you like to walk into a dealership and point to a car and then just buy it? I go, of course. How? And then 3 hours later, bet the over in the Blackhawks game in the first quarter. First period or something. I go, oh, okay. Too bad that game was 6 days ago, you fucking idiot.
When Norm MacDonald, I wonder what you think of this. He said, do you want to, I think he was talking about Bill Maher. There are a number of comedians you can do this with, I suppose. But he said, do you want to be a comedian or do you want to be a smart guy? Are you going to pick? Are you going to pick? Where are you philosophically on that?
Oh, I want to be a smart guy. Like Norm, and I love Norm MacDonald. He is my hero. He is one of my idols. We worked together on Last Comic Standing and did not get along. I took the job to work with him. Our philosophies were very different, and his criticisms of the other comics. He was a judge. I was the host. I was surprised by. And so just very different philosophically. All the respect in the world for Norm and what he did. It was amazing. I never try to replicate what he. No, not that I would change anything about Norm MacDonald. It's very different.
You didn't get along, though. You thought you were going to get along. You were hoping to get along, and one of your heroes.
I wanted to be best friends, but I think we were both, and we figured it out, but I think we were both a little disappointed in the job we had taken and saw the other comedians on the show and were like, fuck, what are we doing here? And so we were both not in the greatest of moods and then would butt heads a little bit. Like, I don't... Just because he's my idol didn't mean that I backed down at all. I kind of treated Last Comic Standing like it was my show, and no one else thought that. And so, yeah, we were gonna butt heads, but that's okay.
It is okay, but I wonder if you're going in thinking someone's going to be your best friend. You're a loner. He's a hero of yours. I imagine a bit of an inspiration, at least. And yes, of course, it's okay that you didn't get along, but it would have been better than okay if you had.
Sure, but it didn't make me like him less or respect him less. It was like, this is an issue of mine and his. Like, neither one of us had a lot of friends or was around people a lot of the time. But yeah, I think just right off the bat, I think he said something. I made fun of him for it. He wasn't happy about it, and I was like, I'm going to keep making fun of you because I took this job. And I'm not just gonna sit here and like let you take over. And that was it was a tough week. We did 8 episodes of that show. Yeah.
And neither one of you liked being there because you thought the show was going to be something different, or you thought this particular thing, once you realized it wasn't up to your standard, you're like, what have I done? Or
I think Norm and I thought this was going to be like the Norm. I thought this was going to be the Norm and Anthony show where the comics go and perform, and they're all bad. Like, they're all like young comics doing 3 minutes. It's not like the comics were bad, but it was still all about them. And if the comics were really bad and we said something funny about it, then that whole thing was cut from the show because they only wanted to show the good comics. So Norm and I were like, what are we doing here? If we can't give our real opinion, you don't want anyone to be mean, and there's 100 fucking contestants. We were both just like, this is not the best use of our time.
Legendary baseball announcer Bob Uecker recently passed away on January 16th, 2025 at 90 years old, which I think is a ripe old age for a sports commentator. You might remember Bob from Real Sports Commentary, or if you're like me, you first saw him in the legendary comedy baseball movie Major League, where he played Harry Doyle. No matter where you knew Bob Uecker from, he was beloved by many, including comedians Norm MACDONALD and Artie Lange. Given the time, I thought I would pay homage to the late great Bob Uecker by talking a little bit about him and also revisiting some of Norm and Artie's favorite stories about Bob. Not only was Bob a great baseball commentator, but he was also known to be an incredibly funny guy with a big personality and a sailor's vocabulary. Norm MACDONALD, being an avid viewer of sports and loving the craft of comedy, naturally came to love Bob Uecker as a friend when their paths finally crossed. Norm also loved Bob because he was a deeply closeted gay man. Anyway, the story begins because Norm actually did a pretty silly commercial with Bob Uecker and Steve Higgins where he hits on a lady and tries to lie down on top of her. This was back when Norm was doing the Norm show where he played Norm, and this commercial is originally what brought Bob, Norm, and Artie together for the first time.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, hi.
You seem a little slow there.
Well, I was stunned by your beauty. Buy you a Miller Lite, it tastes great.
Sure, but I like it because it's less filling.
Huh? Well, opposites attract. That's a good one. You want to go someplace and talk?
Yeah.
Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time.
Rookie. The little cameo from Bob at the end is the icing on the cake for a great commercial. There's not a lot of commercials that make me want to drink and drive into a hot woman's house, but this one sure did take the cake for me. If you look at the comments on this video, it's filled with classic Norm references, which just makes this old commercial even better to visit on YouTube. Then Norm and Artie made an appearance on the Howard Stern show back in the late 2000s, and Howard proceeded to ask them about their experiences working and hanging out with Bob Uecker. Artie had originally shared a story about Bob Uecker on Late Show with David Letterman, and apparently the story did not give a super flattering image of Bob based on some of his filthy language he uses when he's not on the air talking about baseball. Artie tells the story of how they met Bob and also the story that got him in trouble with Bob on the Howard Stern show.
I talked to Bob Uecker, by the way.
Oh, did you? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Was he mad?
Whatever.
Was he really?
Was he?
What do you mean? Last time I went on Letterman, I told a story about Bob Uecker. Norm did a commercial with him for light beer.
Okay.
So it was when we were doing the Norm show. So he invited Norm out to spring training in Phoenix, Arizona.
and said, "Look, man, come the fuck out to Arizona, man." You know, he's the guy you hear on the TV.
Yeah, Bob Uecker.
Right, but he's so filthy when he talks. Every other word is fuck. It's unbelievable.
Right.
And he's one of the funniest guys I've ever met.
Right.
So Norm says to me, "Hey, man, let's go hang out with Uecker," because he knows I'm a big fan. So we go to Arizona. And it's the funniest 24-hour period I've ever spent. We played a round of golf with Bob Uecker, and he let us sit in the booth to listen to him announce a Brewer-Cub game. He had a cough button. You know, if you're going to cough, you hit the cough button and you're not on the air.
Sure.
So from what I remember, Norm might not remember this because he's friends with Bob Uecker. But anyway, Uecker would be announcing the baseball game.
Right.
And like a fucking jazz musician. It was unbelievable. If he saw a really hot chick in the crowd, he would hit the cough button and say something filthy about her. So he would say shit like this. He'd go, here's the 2-2 pitch to Sosa, ground ball to shortstop. Look at the fucking tits on that whore. Over to first base, 2 down.
And he'd hit the button that quickly.
That's the story I told on Letterman. I cleaned it up.
Right.
And he started using like old guy words for the chicks. Like he'd go, fly ball to center field. God, I'd like to get with that trollop. That's the third out.
To me, this story is hilarious, and it really sucks that Bob didn't like it, because I would imagine that this impression of Bob crushed on the Letterman show. It's just fucking funny to think that Bob Uecker had to be so clean-cut and professional on the microphone when he was commentating baseball, but the second he was off the air, he would just immediately let loose and start cussing up a storm. Norm also told a story about Bob Uecker on Letterman, but we will get to that one a little later on in the video. Then Norm tells the story on Stern about the time they were with Bob, and they saw singer John Fogerty.
So he sees John Fogerty, you know, from Creedence Clearwater Revival. So he's like, "Hey man, that fucker's a rock singer." He goes, "But he can get out of the sand trap like nobody's fucking business. I played in a charity tournament with him." So we're like, yeah, we know who John Fogerty is. And he goes, at the 7th inning stretch, I'll have the fucker come up and sing for you.
Fogerty's there with his kid, by the way. He's a big Cub fan. He's here with his 8-year-old son, John Fogerty.
So we're like, no, you don't have to do that.
Right,
you
don't get John Fogerty to sing.
Leave him alone. It's all right. We don't want him singing in front of us.
So then he gets mad at us. He goes, "Do you even know who fucking John Fogerty is?" So we go, yeah, he did Creedence Clearwater Revival. He goes, "Yeah, he did all that fucking shit."
This is one of my favorite stories Norm has ever told because he really does Bob Uecker justice with the impression of him. It reminds me a lot of this scene from the movie Major League where Bob Uecker curses on the air.
That's all we got. One goddamn hit.
You can't say goddamn on the air.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
A classic movie scene from Bob. Norm also told the John Fogerty story on Letterman, and even though it's censored for television, the story is every bit as funny as it was on Stern, and it's probably the hardest I've ever seen David Letterman laugh on his own show since he had on Charles Grodin back in the 80s. Anyway, after Norm told the John Fogerty story, he talks about Bob's reaction to Artie telling the story about him on Letterman, and he also added a few additional stories about Bob after this, and it's so fucking funny to listen to the whole thing.
A couple weeks ago, 3 weeks, a month ago, whatever, for spring training, and I went up to the booth, and he goes, "Man," what about that fucking Artie Klein?
Artie Klein.
The funniest thing is he goes, "That cocksucker must be running a little short of material."
So even as a non-comedian, Bob Uecker was just an incredibly funny man. He probably had what it takes to be a part of the elite 250 comedians that exist in the world. No more, no less. As a younger fella though, I might not have gotten to see Bob Uecker in action as much as a more distinguished fella, but from the stories Norm MacDonald and Artie Lang told, as well as his awesome role as Harry Doyle in the movie Major League, I can't help but love the guy, and I'm very upset to hear about him losing his life. I'm just happy I got to appreciate the guy in some way, and some of the hilarious interactions he had with a few of my favorite comedians. Also, if you'd like to hear Norm's story on Letterman, and also a few more stories about Bob Uecker, you could check out The Appearance for yourself, and also this video where Artie shares a few more stories about Bob Uecker that are all really, really funny to listen to. Long live Bob Uecker, long live Norm MacDonald, and how the fuck did Artie Lang manage to outlive both of these guys? Anyway, I hope you guys got something from this. I really just wanted to take a couple minutes today and share a few of my favorite Bob Uecker stories from Norm Norm and Artie Lang to commemorate what an amazing life Bob Uecker had, and I really hope you all enjoyed it. But what do you guys think? Did you love these stories from Norm MacDonald and Artie Lang? Did you hate the stories? Do you think Bob Uecker owns a doghouse? Also, do you think Artie went too far by sharing those stories on Letterman? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, please check out my second channel if you guys want to support me more and get to know me better as a person. I'd really appreciate if you could check it out, but if not, it's up to you. I totally understand. I really appreciate all the likes, comments, shares, and subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for all the support I've received lately on both channels. That's all I got for you guys today. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.
As my buddy says, the worst part about Cosby was he was a hypocrite. And I said, I don't think that was the worst part. To me, the worst part was the raping. Way up high. And then the second would be the drugging. And then the third would be the scheming. But anyways, hypocrisy would be way down the line, you know, like on the 4th page or something. Like, I'm no expert, but I think probably most rapists are hypocrites. You know what I mean? You don't meet a lot of guys go, I like to rape. I don't give a I know it's not a politically correct thing to say, but I like raping. Go, God damn, at least he's not a hypocrite. That's the worst. That's the worst part of it. But he, imagine you're a girl. Some of you will be easier. No, imagine you're a girl. You're in a gift shop in Vegas or some shit. Go, I'm gonna buy this snow globe for my. Oh, it's the most famous guy ever, Cosby. You know, Cosby's there, and he's like, "You want to go to my room? It's the biggest room ever." And so you go, "Yeah, of course I want to go to your room. Biggest star ever, biggest room ever. What the? You don't even have to be a girl. You go, and then you go up, and then you're like, look at this. I've never seen. And he's like, you want a glass of water? You go, yes, that would be nice. And then you go, why is it purple? Why is it fizzing? Like in a monster movie. Just drink it. It's famous people water. And you drink, and everything goes crazy and shit. They come out of it, they're like, what the fuck? I was just in the gift shop. What's that? Cosby cock? I can swear that's a Cosby cock. That's impossible. A Cosby cock? Why would there be a Cosby cock in my face? Wait a second, I remember. I'll call for help. Hypocrisy! A man committed hypocrisy on me in room 10304-204. There's too many numbers in the hotel room. But in a way, when you think about the show he had a regular fucking life, but then what was his job? He looked in women's pussies and stuff. And you never saw it. They never showed you that part. So in a way, maybe he wasn't a hypocrite. I don't even know what's wrong with hypocrisy anyways. What's the problem with hypocrisy, you know? People always against it. Go, you know what I hate worse than anything? Hypocrite. But imagine your life if you weren't a hypocrite. You know what I mean? Like if you had a kid, you go, okay, Billy, you're 7 years old now. You know what I mean? And then you tell them who you really are. That's not a good idea. Sit down, Billy. I'm going to tell you some evil shit I did. So Cosby was a hypocrite. But it's like one of those little things. You know when people do like real bad things and then they add on a little thing? It happens a lot in crime and shit. Like I remember, I'm just swearing because I can. Like crime. But sometimes a guy will commit a heinous crime, then they'll add like some fucking, like I remember Richard Speck. You know, some of you are old enough to remember this guy. He busted into a house full of nurses, raped and killed 9 nurses. He was charged with 8 counts of rape, 8 counts of murder, 1 count of breaking and entering. So the whole defense became, I tell you, that door was a little bit open. You could have jimmied that open. We're going to take pictures of it and show it to the jury. Blow them up. Then the judge is like, all right, that one. Because judges are wise, like owls. So the judge knows he doesn't want the guy, 8 counts guilty, 8 counts guilty, and on the case of breaking and entering, innocent. And then he's like, hey, what did I tell you, everybody? Waving at people with his orange thing. Hey, a guy told me that, I don't know if you've heard this, Bruce Jenner is going to go back, maybe, to being a man. Yeah. Did you hear that? That's an odd thing. Because I remember him, of course, as a woman. So it's hard for me to picture what he'd even look like as a man. I remember, because I'm from Canada, so I remember he was in the 72 Olympics, and he won the decathlon, you know, which is the best athlete in the world, was a woman. And we didn't know at the time because he kept it secret. But I remember they put the gold medal around his big juicy tits. And that to me is when he should have just gone, I'm a lady, and then that would have been good for the LGBTQ. The community, you know, the community. I don't know if you've been over, if you've seen them, but it's a nice community. And it would have been good. All the LGBTBL. I try to be inclusive of all the letters in the alphabet. But, you know, then he waited. That's the problem. He waited till he was 65. That's when Bruce Jenner decided to tell us he was a lady. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, is there really that much difference between a 65-year-old? At some point, you got to realize you're just some old thing nobody wants to.
Norm MacDonald is one of the most respected comedians to ever walk the planet, and in his time alive, he had a reputation for being a very dangerous choice as a host, whether it be at the ESPY Awards.
That is something that no one can ever take away from you, unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case...
or hosting Weekend Update.
Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California.
If you had Norm host your show or event, there was always a chance that he'd make you regret it. Today we're going to take an introspective look at the time Norm MacDonald was invited to host the show before the show on YouTube's big live comedy show and absolutely shat on it in the funniest possible way. YouTube Comedy Week was met with a lot of bad reception from comedy fans, and most people don't remember the actual event fondly at all. But a lot of people remember Norm making this dumpster fire of an event watchable in the first place. Let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. The show starts off with Jenny Slate and Kasim G introducing themselves, and within a minute, Norm establishes his comedy dominance and starts clowning on the event as a whole.
And joining us in the show before the show living room is host of Norm MacDonald Live on YouTube, the wonderful Norm MacDonald.
Yes, and Jenny, all the stars are here.
Do you want a microphone, Norm?
Yes. Is that my tree?
What a disaster.
Jenny, all the stars are here.
It's true.
Beardy Man, Claude Racine, Dax Flame, Betty Fine,
You got it.
and Raphi Fine. All the stars
You really keep up with all that
are
stuff.
here tonight. Oh, yes. Harley Morenstein is here.
All right. And we also have comedian Todd Glass. He'll be hanging out backstage with some of tonight's guests. And host.
I feel like Todd will be struggling to know these people.
I'm sorry. I'm going to continue with the what the computer says, Norm. Although I'd
I'm
love
sorry.
to talk to you more than this computer.
We're on
but
the
I have to do
computer.
what the computer says, even though I do love you, Norm. I think you're one
Okay.
of the best. We're also going to be talking to you the whole
Well, I'm no Harley Morenstein.
You're not, Norm, but you gotta just let me read this fucking thing.
Okay, so we have Jenny Slate in a business casual dress, Kasim G in a blazer and khakis, and Norm MacDonald is wearing fucking sweatpants and a hoodie in the beating red sun of Los Angeles, California. God damn it, dude. He's reading the names of these people with not a care in the world, and it made me laugh way harder than it should have. You can also see Kasim cracking the fuck up as Norm does this at several other parts. It's great to see Kasim being a good sport about the ribbing early on. More on this later. So as Norm berates and interrupts Jenny in the intro, we eventually get to the first guests, which are the Lonely Island, and this has some of the funniest lines from the entire segment.
We're joined by the talented trio called the Lonely Island.
Yeah,
who
you know
will be
what I
on the
call
big.
them?
What do you call them?
I call them Sandberg and the other couple of fellows.
The Mind Squad
The
is
other
how
couple.
Rolling Stone put it.
You guys ever been to a thing like this? No. What do you think?
Nothing like this.
It feels so pro and real. Am I on TV? Am I on the internet?
We don't know.
Oh, you're on the computer.
You're on a velvet couch. You're on a maroon velvet couch in the beating hot sun.
Hey, can I ask a serious
beautiful.
question? I mean, fuck all these jokes. When you name yourselves, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever have fucking moments of regret later because it's permanent, almost like a tattoo?
Absolutely. Yeah. The Lonely Island, I was outvoted.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
What were the other runner-up names?
Our first album was called Incredibad, and I wanted that to be the name of the band. But
How do you guys feel in your bodies? Do you feel healthy and strong?
Absolutely not.
I could be eating better.
Yeah.
Yeah, digestion could be going better.
Yeah. I feel like that about
Hey,
myself.
enough of these fucking jokes. Can I ask one more serious question?
Hit me with a real one, Norm.
The Lonely Island. You think of all islands as kind of lonely.
Do you really want to hear the story?
Yes, please.
I do
We could do a
too.
real short version, which is just basically it was what we called the apartment we lived on Olympic with all the traffic. It was a sarcastic name from a sarcastic Tennessee Williams style sketch we did about the apartment.
Akiva wrote a one-act play.
God damn, I wish I had a time machine.
Oh,
To
it
see
was
that
so great.
action.
Yeah, no, to take back my question.
The entire time Norm is riffing with Andy, he keeps throwing in the phrase, on the computer, which is just way funnier than it should be. Seriously, nobody but Norm could make this as funny as it was. It's also funny when anybody else tries to riff or ask a goofy question, Norm just cuts it off and says,
Hey, can I ask a serious question? I mean, fuck all these jokes.
Myself.
Enough of these fucking jokes.
Then we get to the best part of the Lonely Island, which is this.
Thought you were going to say to murder Hitler.
I would not. You know, people always fucking want to murder Hitler with their time machine, right? But then I feel if I got back there, I'd be afraid of falling under the spell of his fucking beautiful eyes.
It's true.
And
Once
oratory, and
you
then-
get locked in the gaze.
Yeah, and then I join the fucking party,
That's
knowing
his
me.
thing. He gives you his full attention. You're like, whoa,
All
wait
right.
a minute. Maybe there's
Norm,
something to
I'm
this guy.
No, but before you ask another serious
Believe it
question,
or
we
not,
gotta
they're
move
telling
on.
us to wrap it up. I don't exactly
I
know
want to.
why you
Wrap
guys.
it what? This is fun for everyone.
It's the
For the
Lonely
record,
Island, guys.
I would have killed Hitler. So thanks, gentlemen.
Can I just clarify? if I did go back in time to kill Hitler, I would do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't get
That's
lost
the-
in
that's
his
the front
eyes
door
and then
choice.
bail.
Yeah.
Just so I don't get like
thanks for
hit
having
from
us.
all the like
I know. all the-
defamation
Yeah,
leads.
no,
Yeah,
He would,
of
you would
yeah,
end it. Yeah.
pro.
Listen,
Okay.
man, I'm sorry about
We gotta wrap it up.
I'm sorry
It's
about
over.
bringing up Hitler.
Man, seeing Jenny Slate get uncomfortable and have to bring this interview to a halt is just fucking amazing. Norm's just cackling and losing his shit, enjoying the havoc he's wreaking. The best part about these shows Norm hosts is that I feel like he doesn't even want to do them, but maybe he's just bored and doesn't feel like reading John Steinbeck, so he just decides he's going to do the event and fuck with everybody involved. God bless Norm doing all of this for our entertainment. Then they have Jeff Ross as a guest who actually teases Norm a bit, and they go back and forth, and it's pretty funny overall.
The Roast Master General Jeff Ross joins us.
Hi,
Yes.
Jeff.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, you got the first
Hello,
applause.
world.
Yeah.
Norm, this is so fun. Thank
Yeah,
you for having
man.
me on your live podcast.
It's always fun to see you without a giant cloud of marijuana smoke between us.
Well, it's outdoors. It drifted away.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy? You got your hair cut a little.
I had a little trim. I was at the doggy groomer for 2 hours today.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're a hot fucking piece of ass.
Look at that. I do all my shopping at the mall. Have you ever been to Forever 41?
Forever 41.
Norm, you're
Listen.
dressing like you're going to help somebody move. You're wearing sweatpants to the biggest show in YouTube history.
This is the biggest show on the internet.
You dress like you're going to paint the set.
He can't help himself.
Who should I roast this week?
What about Cassim?
Yeah,
It would be an honor
Cassim.
if you could just do me.
He's an Arab, if that helps.
I only roast celebrities, Cassim, so you're off the hook.
Thank you.
What do you dress like? You're like Harry Potter's accountant.
You're just not that up.
Well, I want to thank Jeff Ross for turning the mirror on me today. Back to you guys over there.
Like the inventor of a cure of some disease we haven't thought of yet. Look at you, like Orville Redenbacher's fluffer. I don't know.
No surprise here, when two real comedians banter, it's actually pretty solid. Then in the next segment, we have Cassim and Jenny doing some type of YouTube promo while Norm just stares down the barrel of the camera intensely. It gets to a part where Norm gets a free tablet and Cassim tries to poke fun at him.
Norm, do you know that you can watch live stream stuff on your phone?
I
or
don't
tablet?
believe that's true. I know I can watch it on my computer, but I don't believe I can watch it on anything other than my computer.
Today is a day for you then. Guess what?
What?
Google, our
Yeah.
friends at Google here,
Sure.
sent us a free Nexus 7 tablet.
Don't say us.
Yeah.
Don't say us.
It was just you.
Yeah.
Norm.
Let's not get all fucking plural.
Thanks, Google. What I wanted to show you is how easy it is to watch yourself and other live streams on your tablet device.
On the computer.
On the computer.
Yeah.
Go ahead and hit play there.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
right
I
there
see.
in my.
It's so simple.
Do you see your face?
Oh yeah, it's me with a huge fat fucking face.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of trouble. My doctor, he said he's not a very nice guy. He said, open your mouth and say oink.
Yeah, you need to get better insurance, Norm.
Insurance? He was calling me a fat pig.
Well, I mean, nobody's going to disagree with him.
Oh, Cassim.
I'm sorry, Norm. I've got an acid tongue.
You do. You're an acid-tongued Arab.
Acid-tongued Arab. God damn it, dude. My favorite part about this is when Norm tells the doctor joke and looks right down the barrel of the camera. Then when Cassim responds, Norm is dumbfounded by it and makes the goofiest face before shitting on Cassim again. Then there's a comedian/magician who comes on and does a little party trick, and throughout the whole thing, Norm is just being a goofball, calling him a sorcerer. All these one-liners Norm drops are excellent, man. Just can't get enough of it. Then my favorite part is when Sarah Silverman comes on, who is one of the organizers for YouTube Comedy Week, and she gets into it a little bit with Norm.
It'll be fun. Norm, thanks for dressing up.
Hey, Sarah, listen, man. Congratulations. That's the 100th time that joke's been done tonight. But I also want to tell you, I have a bet with Daniel Kellison, a rather large figure.
Daniel Kelson, who put this whole thing together,
Yeah.
way over his head.
He says you
did it.
He says you can explain what the fuck Jash is.
Jash is.
Pay up, fucker.
Jash is a comedy collective, a United Artists, if you will. Uniting myself, Reggie Watts, Michael Cera, and Tim and Eric. And what do? We do whatever we dream up. We shoot it, and it goes on there. We can fail, we can do well. It's total freedom.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
You got me, Norm.
I mean, I've never heard the word collective.
I know, but
Leon
Daniel
Trotsky.
puts buzzwords in my head, and then I just blindly say them.
Commie gobbledygook. Good God, man. Norm is a national treasure. Then later on, we have Hannibal Buress on the couch for an interview. Norm gives Hannibal some praise for his suit and says how he looks like a young Eddie Murphy with that type of fashion. I'm sure Hannibal loved hearing that. Then we get to see Norm try to lie down on top of two ladies. Real pretty ladies, might I add. These two ladies are then asked about getting hate online, and Norm sets up a joke that derails the entire interview with them.
Wait, I have a question. So you guys are two very funny females, but when you post videos on the internet, sometimes being a female is a little bit different than if I was to post a video on the internet. What's that like for you two?
Sometimes we've been called certain things many times.
How do you deal with that stuff?
I think I'm numb to it now. We've been called everything so many times. I can't even.
In the beginning,
take
it was
in
like,
anymore.
oh my God, I can't believe this. We should just stop doing this. And then now we just don't read the comments and keep doing it.
Yeah.
I think that's the right
I think
way to
the
do it.
last
Oh,
comment I read
are
was
you
the
guys
guy-
talking about Barfy Man 362?
Exactly.
Is that you?
No, that's that motherfucker. I don't even want to give him attention, but listen, saying those kind of things about me
Talk to him. Talk to him right now. Talk to Barf.
Listen, Barfy Man 362.
right.
No, you cannot rape my mother with a knife.
Now it's official.
Yeah, that's the kind of comment we didn't want to read anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of sandwich makers. Bitches, go make me a sandwich.
Those ones bother me less than the knife.
Oh yeah, the raping
mother
ones
stuff.
are worse.
Yeah, you don't want to be raped with a knife.
I'll gladly make
I
a
would
sandwich.
much rather be raped with something else.
Yeah.
God, there's just something so magical about seeing Jenny Slate get uncomfortable here. What a treat. Norm knows exactly what he's doing. Thankfully, these girls were pretty good sports about the whole thing. That's pretty much how this whole thing with Norm on the YouTube Awards happened, and god damn it was funny. I actually heard an interview clip of Kasim G talking about this in retrospect, and it actually inspired me to make this video. It's nice to know that Kasim was appreciative of Norm and getting to be a part of this event, even if he was the butt of the joke quite a few times. All in all, that was the time Norm MacDonald crashed the YouTube Awards show. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Be safe out there. Don't get cut by a fucking sorcerer.
She got cut by a fucking sorcerer.
But that's all I got for you guys today. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. A good comedian says funny things, but a great comedian says things funny. I don't think there's a single quote about comedy that better describes the late, great Norm MacDonald. When it comes to delivering a joke, there are very few comedians that were ever as gifted as Norm. And the reason for this was that Norm mastered a simple but effective way of conveying a message. Mark Twain called this style of storytelling the humorous story. What is the humorous story? What makes it unique from other types of stories? How did Norm use it on late-night TV appearances? And how does one learn this storytelling ability for themselves? All of these questions will be answered by the end of the video, so if that sounds interesting to you, then let's hop right into it. To begin with, Norm MacDonald had been doing stand-up comedy for many decades in a lot of these popular late-night clips, so by repetition, Norm had already mastered the art of his comedic delivery and his ability to tell a humorous story. Along with that, Norm was an avid reader who greatly appreciated the works of writers like Leo Tolstoy and Mark Twain. Mark Twain actually wrote a short novel called How to Tell a Story and Other Essays about different variations of storytelling. When you read through this novel for yourself, it all starts to make more sense. In paragraph 2, Mark Twain says, quote, "There are several kinds of stories, but only one difficult kind, the humorous. I will talk mainly about that one. The humorous story is American, the comic story is English, the witty story is French. The humorous story depends for its effect upon the manner of the telling, the comic story and the witty story upon the matter." End quote. Follow this in paragraph 3, it reads, quote, "The humorous story may be spun out to great length and may wander around as much as it pleases and arrive nowhere in particular. But the comic and witty stories must be brief and end with a point. The humorous story bubbles gently along, the others burst." End quote. When you read this, it almost feels like Mark Twain wrote this section directly after watching a Norm MacDonald joke on Conan's late night talk show. It emphasizes that the destination of the humorous story is not of any real significance and that the constant setting and breaking of expectations throughout the joke is what makes it incredibly special and entertaining for the listener. The comic story that you typically hear from your friends or family members is essentially just one big build-up for an often mediocre or unsatisfying ending. Anyone can tell the comic story, but it takes a lot of practice and finesse to tell the humorous story and to tell it well. This type of story resembles anti-humor in the capacity that the ending is sometimes anticlimactic, but I think the biggest distinction is that anti-humor is a joke told with the intention of its unfunniness being entertaining, but the humorous story is told while the storyteller just ensures that the journey is very enjoyable with less of an emphasis on the ending. Mark Twain even says as much in the next paragraph when he writes, quote, "The humorous story is strictly a work of art, high and delicate art, and only an artist can tell it." End quote. This is why I preface this analysis by telling you how Norm had been a veteran of stand-up comedy for decades and decades before we heard the moth joke or heard him call his wife a battle axe. To tell any of these jokes with the flair that Norm told them with takes many hours and many years of hard work. Mark Twain is not exaggerating when he says it is a high and delicate art. Twain then further details the difference between the humorous and comic story when he writes, quote, "The humorous story is told gravely. The teller does his best to conceal the fact that he even dimly suspects that there is anything funny about it, but the teller of the comic story tells you beforehand that it is one of the funniest things he's ever heard, then tells it with eager delight and is the first person to laugh when he gets through it. And sometimes if he has good success, he is so glad that he will repeat the nub of it and glance around from face to face, collecting applause and then repeat it again. It is a pathetic thing to see." End quote. When I first read this paragraph, I immediately thought of the most convoluted joke ever that Norm does on the Conan O'Brien show.
There was a fella went by the name of Jacques de Gautier. He was from Témiscamingue, Quebec. And Jacques de Gautier, he was a fella that really thought. He was, while I was scrabbling to get out of high school, Jacques de Gatineau had already...
I think you just changed his last name.
Well, you know, a man grows.
Norm is 30 seconds into a story about Jacques de Gautier, and he's already found a clever and cute way to make a joke about his name. He pretends there's nothing even remotely funny about the line, "a man grows," when he subtly delivers it. This is an incredibly unique subversion, but Norm says it as if he has no idea it's about to make the entire room burst into laughter. And that's part of the beauty that Mark Twain articulates for the humorous story. Quote, "Very often, of course, the rambling and disjointed humorous story finishes with a nub, point, snapper, or whatever you like to call it. Then the listener must be alert, for in many cases the teller will divert attention from that nub by dropping it in a carefully casual and indifferent way, with the pretense that he does not know it is a nub." End quote. Another fascinating thing about Norm's delivery is when he fools you into thinking a story or joke is complete, and you quickly realize after you laugh that you're still in the setup of the joke, and you're just trying to pay attention and see where he's going to take you next. Mark Twain also detailed someone named Artemus Ward who commonly used this trick when he was telling a humorous story, where he would deliver a joke, and when the audience took a second to catch it and they started laughing, he would look up with this innocent surprise on his face as if he didn't just say something hilarious, which sounds identical to what Norm Macdonald does. Another important part that Mark Twain highlights about the humorous story is the use of the pause. Quote, "The pause is an exceedingly important feature in any kind of story, and a frequently recurring feature too. It is a dainty thing and delicate and also uncertain and treacherous, for it must be exactly the right length, no more and no less, or it fails of its purpose and makes trouble. If the pause is too short, the impressive point is past, and if it is too long, the audience has had time to divine that a surprise is intended, and then you can't surprise them, of course." End quote. We all know Norm was a master at his comedic timing, and he uses the pause as much as he can to make a funny story even funnier, as mentioned by Mark Twain in How to Tell a Story and Other Essays. Now, I have no evidence suggesting that Norm Macdonald read this story by Mark Twain and used this as his blueprint for late-night television appearances, but I do know that Norm Macdonald was an avid reader of Mark Twain's literature. I can confidently state that this short novel by Mark Twain describes in great detail the process that Norm Macdonald is well known for on his late-night appearances. In order to tell a humorous story and emulate exactly what Norm did on late-night television, you have to apply a few basic principles. First of all, you have to be absurd and incongruent while setting up the story, but the hard part is you have to do it so subtly that people don't realize that you're doing it on purpose. Quote, "To string incongruities and absurdities together in a wandering and sometimes purposeless way and seem innocently unaware that they are absurdities is the basis of the American art, if my position is correct." End quote.
And we thought, boy, he's going to be the next. We had Jean Marchand, Gérald Tartier, Pierre Trudeau, the three wise men of Quebec, by God. And, I met him, I started to do stand-up and travel from here to there and to here again. One time I was in Niagara Falls, and gosh, I went over to the Sea World there. You know how they have the Sea World? You know, with the different fish. You know.
I didn't know that, but okay, yeah, yes.
This was a perfect execution by Norm in the initial setup. He continues to follow this blueprint with several great jokes, then he applies the second principle, which is using the pause to build suspense.
So I was checking out the beluga whales and stuff, and I look over, and who do you think I see?
I hope it's that guy.
No, it was just an attendant, but he showed me to the place I wanted to see, which is where they feed the little baby dolphins.
This silly joke works because Norm is just teasing us with details the entire time and pretending like he doesn't know exactly what he's doing. Then the third principle is to throw away the ending punchline. After Norm has warmed us up, he delivers the final punchline when Jacques de Gatineau is feeding baby dolphins.
And who do I see there but Jacques de Gatineau? And here he is, he's feeding the baby dolphins. And I go up to him and I go, "Jacques de Gatineau, I feel shame for you. You were our hope. You were to go to Canada, Canada's nation's capital of Ottawa. All of Témiscamingue, Quebec, pinned our hopes on you. Now that's a hell of a burden for a man to have a town's hope pinned on them." So he was feeding these baby dolphins, you know, And I said, I'm ashamed of you, Jacques Gatineau. You could have done so many great things. He said, I think I'm serving a youthful purpose. Now, I believe that...
If there were no incongruities and absurdities throughout the story, this would have been the shittiest comic story ever, but because Norm understands that the journey in the story is more important than the destination, he is able to deliver this corny-ass punchline and receive a huge laugh from it. Norm made the whole story interesting to listen to, so as a result, the ending being anticlimactic doesn't really hurt the joke at all because it's not the focal point of the joke. Now, I know that I laid out these principles like anybody can do this, but the truth is, most people can't. It takes years of practice and hard work to tell a humorous story like this, but at least you know how Norm did it now. When you understand the chasm of difference between a generic comic story and a beautifully delivered humorous story, you come to appreciate Norm's ability to pleasantly waste your time even more so than you did before. Telling a joke like this takes years and years of hard work, and it cannot be learned overnight unless you are simply gifted beyond measure. Let's face it, we're all unfunny compared to Norm Macdonald. He was the fucking greatest. All in all, this is how Norm Macdonald tells a joke. If you enjoy the video, leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new. That's all I got for you guys today. In the meantime, here's another great video about Norm Macdonald that you can watch right now. Norman Jean Macdonald was born on October 17, 1959 in Quebec, Canada. His parents Fern and Percy Macdonald raised him and his brother Neil on a rural farm that Percy inherited from his father. Norm's family was working class and both his parents had jobs as teachers. His deep love for his family and upbringing made him develop an earnest respect for elderly people and the unique wisdom and perspective they brought to any conversation. Norm was also an incredibly well-read and intelligent student when he was in school. He started high school at Quebec High School but transferred to Gloucester High School upon his family moving to Ottawa, where he would graduate at just 14 years old. Then at 16 years old, he went to Carleton University to study math, but didn't care for it, so he dropped out. Norm always loved comedy, and even shares a story about a joke that he saw David Letterman perform that he told all of his friends when he was a kid. He worked a bunch of different jobs, but then at 26 years old, he tried stand-up comedy for the first time at Yuck Yuck's Comedy Club. Howard Wagman managed the club and told a story about Norm fleeing after his first set because he felt embarrassed at how the performance went. But thankfully for all of us, Howard talked him into continuing to do stand-up and that he had a unique talent for it. Shortly thereafter, Norm became a regular at Yuck Yuck's and became very good very fast. Within just 6 months, Norm was granted the opportunity to perform at Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal in 1986. For some comedians, it takes 5 to 10 years to get an opportunity like this, but Norm was doing it within his first year of stand-up comedy. Unreal talent. Norm did so well that the Montreal Gazette wrote an article about him, but this article also detailed Norm's first encounter with cancer, which forced him to take an entire year off stand-up comedy. Norm never talked about this in his act, though, because he figured people would think he was lying. Norm continued doing stand-up and eventually got some excellent opportunities to make a name for himself, like appearing on Star Search and making his television debut on Late Night with David Letterman on May 9th, 1990. Letterman really liked Norm. In fact, he would have Norm on many more times after this, and he went on the record to say that they would have had Norm on weekly if they could have. Later in the year, Norm's father Percy passed away, but it didn't slow him down because less than a year after this, Norm would shoot his first comedy special on HBO, One Night Stand. As Norm continued to gain notoriety, he would eventually cross paths with comedian Dennis Miller, and Dennis would hire him as a writer for the one and only season of The Dennis Miller Show in 1992. Following this, in the same year, Roseanne would hire him to write for her sitcom, Roseanne. Then in 1993, Norm received the comedy opportunity of a lifetime and joined Saturday Night Live as a cast member where he would stay until 1997. This job was a lifelong dream for Norm, and he certainly made an impact with his memorable impressions of Burt Reynolds, Larry King, David Letterman, and Senator Bob Dole, as well as being arguably the best host of Weekend Update in SNL history. People loved the indifference Norm had when reading jokes on Weekend Update, especially towards his biggest target, O.J. Simpson. While working on SNL, Norm would get to meet Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, and the rest of the bad boys of SNL. These connections led to Norm landing a movie role in Billy Madison with Adam Sandler in 1995, and a year later he did another movie called The People vs. Larry Flynt with Woody Harrelson in 1996. Then in 1997, Norm made headlines for doing a corporate clean comedy show at Iowa University with Daryl Hammond and Jim Brewer, where he was intentionally filthy and walked 80% of the audience when he was told to be TV clean. Pretty fucked up, but also pretty funny. Also in 1997, we got to see Norm host the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where he had one of the most interesting audiences of all time, and he still crushed. Furthermore, Norm would be fired from Saturday Night Live Live in 1998, and when asked about it on Letterman and The Howard Stern Show, he stated that it was done by Don Ohlmeyer because Don was good friends with O.J. Simpson and he really wanted him to stop the O.J. Simpson jokes. This was a cover story though. In reality, Norm's friend and head writer Jim Downey was being fired, and when the producers asked about the decision, Norm stood in solidarity with Jim and said he would quit if Jim was fired, and that's exactly what happened. But Norm took this secret to the grave. Just a few months after Norm was fired, he would be selected as the host for the 6th annual ESPY Awards, where he would make one of the most infamous OJ jokes of his career.
He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case...
Fucking legendary. Preceding his exit from Saturday Night Live, in 1998, Norm would star in his very own movie directed by Bob Saget titled Dirty Work, which has since become a cult classic amongst Norm Macdonald fans. He would also be a voice actor in Eddie Murphy's Doolittle in 1998. Then in 1999, Norm would be given his very own sitcom titled The Norm Show, where he played Norm for 3 seasons. Also in 1999, NBC would realize their colossal fuck-up in firing Norm, so they invited him back to host Saturday Night Live, to which he proceeded to give a hilarious monologue trashing the show and calling it horrible in typical Norm Macdonald fashion. Then the next year in 2000, we had this legendary moment of Norm promoting his show on The View, where he called Bill Clinton a murderer on national television. We also got to see Norm host the 27th American Music Awards that year, and we even got to see Norm on the game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where he ended up winning and showing everybody just how smart he really was. Also in 2001, we got to see Norm voice acting as Death in Family Guy, and also star in the movie Screwed with comedy legend Dave Chappelle. Then a year later, in May 2001, The Norm Show would be canceled, making it the worst tragedy to ever happen in the year 2001. Also this year, Norm would voice act in Eddie Murphy's Doolittle 2. Over the next several years, Norm would have a few television projects that would unfortunately perish very quickly, like the TV show A Minute with Stan Hooper that aired on Fox, where Norm was the main character, which would be canceled after only 6 episodes. Then in 2005, Norm was cast in a sketch show titled Back to Norm on Comedy Central, which once again was killed in its infancy because of lackluster ratings and low viewership. However, in the same year, Norm would land an iconic voice acting role as Norm the Genie in the kids' TV show The Fairly Odd Parents. Then just 1 year later, in 2006, Norm would release a sketch comedy album titled Ridiculous, which was met with mixed reviews from his base of avid supporters. It seems like Norm's best luck in this decade was anything that was far away from sketch comedy. Norm would continue to do stand-up while also snagging some acting roles, such as 2007 when he played Chubby's son in the TV show My Name is Earl, and also a TV appearance on the show Match Game, where he's part of the celebrity panel. In the meantime, Norm also did some commercials in this time frame, like from 2006 to 2008, he voice acted for the Canadian company Bell Mobility, in addition to being the gingerbread man in AT&T commercials from 2007 to 2008. Then in 2008, we saw Norm do the legendary roast of Bob Saget, where he took the roast about as seriously as you would take fitness and diet advice from Lizzo. Following this, in 2009, Norm pitched a reality show about himself to Fox, but the series would be scrapped halfway through the filming process. Norm would also be featured as a regular guest on late-night talk shows, proving to be one of the most consistently funny guests of all time. It's impossible to track all the best ones, but I promise you they're not difficult to find. Moving on, 2011 would prove to be a really good year for Norm, beginning with the release of his first hour-long stand-up comedy special titled Me Doing Stand-Up, which was met with high praise from comedy fans, and then Norm would star in his own talk show called The Sports Show with Norm Macdonald. Then a few more years passed by, and in 2013, Norm started his very own podcast called Norm Macdonald Live with some fucking douchebag named Adam Egget as his co-host. The show featured many different guests and stayed on YouTube for 3 long seasons. Then in 2014, we got this legendary appearance from Norm where he hosted YouTube's big live comedy show alongside Jenny Slate and Kasim G, where he rightfully made a mockery out of the entire event. Then in 2014, we got to see Norm do some voice acting as the Pigeon on Mike Tyson Pigeon Mysteries. Later on, 2015 would prove to be a huge year for Norm, where he did some voice acting in the Canadian TV show Sunnyside, where he played a talking manhole. He was a judge on the NBC show Last Comic Standing, and most notably, he did the last late-night stand-up set on Late Show with David Letterman, where he broke down into tears given the sheer gravity of the moment. We also saw Norm as Colonel Sanders in KFC commercials for a bit. Then a year later in 2016, we saw Norm release his incredibly funny book titled Based on a True Story, Memoir. And on top of that, we saw him host the 2016 Canadian Screen Awards, where he showed showed a lot more reverence and respect than previous hosting occurrences. Then in 2017, we got to hear Norm voice acting as Yaphet, the talking blob, in Seth MacFarlane's TV show The Orville, and then we saw the release of Norm's second hour-long stand-up comedy special titled Hitler's Dog, Gossip and Trickery. Then in 2018, Norm was embroiled in controversy for publicly criticizing aspects of the Me Too movement, and this led to him having an appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon canceled. The most disappointing thing about this is that if this bullshit didn't happen, we probably would have gotten a few more late-night appearances from Norm. Also in 2018, we saw Netflix purchase the rights to Norm MacDonald Live and then rebranded it as Norm MacDonald Has a Show, which a lot of people said was not as good as the original series back when it was on YouTube. Norm would continue doing stand-up for many more years. Then in March of 2020, right before the lockdown started, we got to see a set from Norm at the Hollywood Improv posted on his very own YouTube channel where he talks about the big cough. Little did the people know this would be the last time Norm MacDonald would ever perform stand-up comedy. Then a year later, in 2021, 4 years ago today, Norm MacDonald would die from cancer. His audience in the world of comedy were shocked to know that this was not a new development. Rather, he had been diagnosed with cancer over a decade ago and privately dealt with it until he lost his battle with cancer. Well, I guess it was more of a draw, really. But seriously, Norm MacDonald to a lot of people was a great comedian. If you ask some people, including myself, he was the greatest comedian to ever live. I love Norm MacDonald. He inspired me in many ways, and if you've made it this far, you probably love him too. Every year in September on this channel, I post a video to commemorate Norm and his comedy legacy, and I hope you guys appreciated this one. If you did, make sure to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a comment with your favorite Norm MacDonald moment of all time, and if you want more content about Norm MacDonald to watch right now, click the link on your screen here to watch this video about the time Norm MacDonald was kicked out of Iowa by the governor for being dirty at a corporate clean comedy show. I know you guys are going to love it. Anyway, take care and God bless. Norm MacDonald and Chris Kattan have quite the history together at Saturday Night Live. And I'm not talking about some type of gay sexual escapades. I mean that for a period of time, these two stars clashed heads and did not get along, and it made for an incredibly entertaining story that was circulated by comedy fans. But was it a real feud, or was it merely for our entertainment? In today's video, we will be finding out what happened between Norm and Chris on Saturday Night Live, why they might not have liked each other for a period of time, and whether or not they ever buried the battle axe. So if that sounds interesting to you, then let's hop right into it. To begin with, these two alleged doghouse owners were on Saturday Night Live in the 90s. Norm was a cast member for 5 seasons from 1993 all the way up until 1998, while Chris Kattan was a cast member for 7 seasons from 1996 all the way up until 2003. This brought them in close proximity to one another for the 22nd and 23rd season of Saturday Night Live. Now, I imagine with the stress and pressure that comes along with working on a show as massive and prestigious as Saturday Night Live, that sometimes you might see the worst in people, whether it be through a drug addiction or impulsive behavior. But according to Chris Kattan in the beginning, Norm did treat him respectfully. Then as time went on, Norm and Chris would start to get on each other's nerves a little bit. And Norm, being who he is, would eventually air his thoughts on who he believes Chris lies down in bed with.
Quick Norm story. Great quick Norm story.
Get Artie.
Well, Jim will appreciate that. They do a big Rolling Stone article about the Kansas City.
That was a great one, man.
Wait, what is this? They do a big Rolling Stone article about the cast.
I got a good one.
So the cast of Saturday Night Live.
Right, yeah.
And it's everybody kissing each other's ass. So they ask Norm about Chris Kattan. And it's after pages of, I've never seen someone do better character work. Norm's quote is, he seems gay to me. He goes, I've never met a guy who said he wasn't gay. He seems so gay. But I guess he says he's not gay, so whatever.
Hey.
I love that.
Now obviously this didn't seem like a huge deal at the time. If you're a subscriber of this channel, you're probably a pretty big Norm MacDonald fan, and him calling people gay to tease them was a pretty common occurrence. If anything, it's probably a sign that he's fond of you as a person. So at first, this doesn't seem like anything more than some banter between two star-crossed lovers, but then when Chris Kattan is asked about it on the Howard Stern show, we get some more details about the interactions between Chris and Norm.
What about Norm MacDonald? You're at war with him as well. You two don't like each other.
Warring with Norm?
Here's what Norm said.
Oh, good.
I got it for you. All right. Chris and Norm MacDonald apparently hate each other. This is according to my notes. When Norm hosted Saturday Night Live, Chris did not appear on the show. I don't find him funny. What can I say? Never made me laugh. What happened between... First of all, I don't believe you're gay, are you? I know someone you dated.
No, I'm not gay.
Yeah, you dated.
And he's certainly had to have laughed at you once or twice.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
a funny guy.
Right.
Well, that was the
I mean, your
Rolling
characters,
Stone
some of your
article.
characters are effeminate, so maybe people will think you're
Right.
gay.
Like Mango's, like, you know,
he's gay.
Queer as day.
Right. So then...
Yeah.
So is Norm a homophobe? Is that the problem? He doesn't like gay
definitely
characters?
think he has a problem with
But give me the history of this. I love feuds.
Well, let's see. When I first got on the show, he was so nice. He and Spade,
right,
were just like so nice, and then I don't know what happened. He just started. Like Garth Brooks was, we did like a pitch meeting, and he started saying things in the pitch meeting like, you don't want to do it. Like Garth Brooks was a guest.
Yeah.
Was a guest. I was like, I'm sure you don't want to do another sketch. Like things like that. People would laugh.
Oh, dear.
I was like, why is he saying?
All
Why
of
is
this.
it? And then it got kind of old. Like, Jesus, Norm, you're like another.
And it makes you inhibited in a writing meeting if someone's goofing on you every time you open up your mouth, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't care because I'm not gay. If I was like, some gay guy going, I don't want anyone to know that I'm just
right. And so the gay jokes kept going and going and going.
Yeah, the gay jokes kept going and going.
And then you finally said, "Hey, I've had it with you, Norm."
Well,
Did you ever confront him?
A little bit, yeah. But it's like a playful thing. He says it's like a Jack Benny, Fred Allen, kind of a feud thing.
But you don't see it that way.
No, I think he's I don't know.
According to Chris, in the beginning everything was fine between them, but as they worked together more and more, they started to dick around and make fun of each other more. Norm even detailed that he didn't actually hate Chris or even dislike him, but that they had this little faux feud between them, similar to Jack Benny and Fred Allen, who were popular comedians who performatively clashed in 1936 on Fred Allen's radio show titled Town Hall Tonight. The feud did have a lot of funny moments though, like the story Chris Kattan tells about the time they sat next to each other on a plane.
We were on a flight together. We didn't plan on being together on the same flight. We were flying from LA back to New York to do Saturday Night Live, and it was a red eye, and he's behind me, and we're getting along, whatever. He's talking about crapping on women, or I don't know what he was talking about, something like that.
Yeah,
and it was funny because he was so loud,
right?
So everyone else could hear it. I'm like, I just crap on this girl.
Yeah,
and I'm like, laughing,
right?
Because he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And then I wake up, and because it's a red eye, and one of my shoes is missing. And I was like, where's my shoe? And Norm's like, hey, you lost your shoe, huh? And then he leaves. And I'm like, so disoriented. And I'm the last guy in the flight looking for my shoe. And I just, walk off the plane with one shoe. And all the stewardesses like, you are funny.
Oh, no. So he stole your shoe.
He stole my shoe.
And he's playing goofs on you. He's not respecting you.
Right.
Right.
And then I took his jacket on a really cold night.
Yes.
And his assistant called me at home going, I got to get Norm's jacket. Please get me Norm's jacket. And she was like freaking out.
Right.
In addition to this goofy story, Will Ferrell actually told the ending to this story on Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade.
He's like, come on, give me back my shoes. I know you took them. I know. Norm's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Kattan has to walk through JFK.
With no shoes?
With no shoes, just in his socks. An entire season goes by. And then Kattan and Norm are jousting back and forth about something.
They used to joust a little bit.
And then Norm finally goes, oh yeah, and one other thing, I did take your shoes.
So this story is all well and good, but eventually on the Howard Stern show, Chris starts talking about how Norm wanted to be on the cover of the Rolling Stone magazine, but Artie Lang called in to mention how this narrative is untrue. Now, if Norm and Chris were on good terms, why would he feel the need to lie about this? The conversation that led to Artie calling in was when the previous caller mentioned how Jim Breuer had an issue with Chris while they worked on Saturday Night Live over accusations of a stolen idea.
Chris,
thank you.
Is it not true that Jim Breuer, your former cast member, had a problem with you as well?
I think at one point he thought I stole an idea from him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, man, there's so much infighting. You got to admit.
But they're really, that's it though.
Really?
That's not much for like 6 years.
With a lot of the cast members, and I think with Chris, do you remember that Rolling Stone cover came out and they only put certain members of SNL on the cover?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Didn't that cause a lot of strife inside?
Yeah. I mean, Norm wanted to be. There's a big stink because he wanted to be on the cover
by himself. Yeah.
Really? No, I don't know if he wanted. No, he wanted to be
in that picture.
I don't know. He showed up later, and then he wanted to be
He wanted to stand in the middle of us.
And you said no.
Well, it was just like weird.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
why are you
Like,
just
who are
standing
you?
right here? It's like my variety show.
Yeah, hey, Artie.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, I like Chris. I think he's funny. But what he said before about that Rolling Stone cover is wrong.
All right, go. Artie's going to defend Norm, I guess.
Norm represents-
You know you might be wrong.
All right, go ahead.
No, it's just that Chris made it sound like Norm showed up begging to get on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Oh, no, he wasn't begging. He was just like assuming he was on the cover with us. And
Well, he was though.
I know he was.
But he wanted to stand in the middle as well.
No. They were begging Norm to do it, and he thought it seemed weird.
He didn't want to do it.
Right, he thought it seemed weird to stand in the middle of all you guys.
Oh, that's true.
They definitely wanted Norm to be on the cover because at the time, I mean, he was the funniest guy on the show. Howard, you've said that a million times.
I think Norm is hysterical.
He is. I already said that.
Yeah, and so does Chris.
As much as I love Chris Kattan and Night at the Roxbury, it seems like Artie did catch him stretching the truth here. So this was the inception of the little feud between Norm and Chris Kattan, but then the next time we heard about their feud was when Jim Breuer told the infamous story about the Twilight Zone sketch. He tells the story in this clip of him doing stand-up, but I prefer him telling the story on the Howard Stern show.
Pamela Anderson is on it. Every time a hot chick would come on, Kattan would go over the top to like, oh my God, he'd write a sketch, we're going to make out. And Norm is the guy who's got to go, imagine if you will. And Norm doesn't read sketches, and he's a pro. Right. So he would rehearse it and go, hey, imagine if you will, second time, and Kattan would go, oh my God, you don't even sound like him. Why would you do that? Now we go to air, and Norm still hasn't said nothing. Every time Kattan would say something to him, I'd look at Norm like, hey, man, you're my hero. What's up? Because if you're not going to say something, I will. Right. And sure enough, he'd give me like a wink. I swear to you, he'd give me a wink. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Live air comes on, and I'm like, 20 seconds to the Twilight Zone sketch. He starts up again. Where Mike, the whole audience is listening. He's like, oh, God, Kattan. Norm, you better sound like... Oh, God, Pamela, you're so hot. Norm, Pamela, I can't wait if you ever get rid of... 10 seconds. Norm turns to Kattan. Right for his head, he goes, hey, Pamela, did Chris tell you he's gay yet? And he's got all this rage because he likes being gay. Everyone, why don't you just say you're gay and you wouldn't have all this anger and be a pester? 5 seconds! And you wouldn't have all this rage and try to interrupt everyone's sketch because you suck this week. And we're on! Imagine if you will. I'm like, there's my hero. There's my hero.
See, he knew to save it for the live air.
Saved it. Now, this made it seem like there may have been some type of strife between Norm and Chris, and maybe there was at the time. However, it seems like eventually they both let it go and moved on with their lives, because in 2011, they both were set on a project called Hollywood and Wine, and this video circulated of the two guys just jawing and flapping their gums, and everything seems cool between these two fellas.
You be the girl.
Jodie Foster?
Yeah, just say something.
Who recently came out, right?
Yeah, but don't put that.
I'm not plugging that.
Okay, so just say it like you're. I'm
I'm
Hannibal the cannibal.
I'm Jodie Foster. I can't do Jodie.
No, just say any line.
Okay, Hannibal, you're terrible. What have you done to these innocent people?
Clarice, I don't know what you dream about, but I ate a guy. That wasn't good at all. I thought I've never done it. Here's the problem: I've never done an impression of him.
Do one.
Here's
Here's Jessica Biel from Flashdance.
Okay. So okay, Jessica. Yeah. Man, aren't you getting ready for your dance?
Yeah, I gotta go. I got a big thing tonight. It's like
Jennifer.
That much. My Jessica Biel and his Anthony Hopkins.
It was pretty
good.
close. They were pretty close.
So everything seems lighthearted and fun in this clip, which makes me think that there was never any type of feud between the two to begin with. It really supports that the feud between Chris and Norm was all for show, and that they probably thought highly of each other the whole time. Then later on in 2015, we got to see Norm do an interview with Huffington Post, where he was asked about Chris Kattan, and he makes a few jokes about Chris that seem to be completely absent of malevolence.
Well, Chris is a great guy, but he used to bring around women all the time to the show, you know. Big, tall women, you know. Big bruisers, you know. And he'd say, look, I'm heterosexual. I mean, he wouldn't say that out loud, but that's what that would be the caption on the picture in the New Yorker. Boy, those are funny.
So it was something related to his sexuality.
Maybe.
But listen, if I call a person gay, that ain't no insult.
It's a good thing nowadays.
Yeah, if you say it's an insult, you're the homophobe, not me.
Correct. Supreme Court says so.
That's absolutely.
All right, this is so fucking funny. I hate to be a D1 Glazer here, but Norm really was the funniest guy to ever live. I don't care what anybody says. Then 6 years later, Norm would die from cancer, and Chris Kattan would do an interview where he was asked about Norm and the relationship they had. He shared a lot of stories and insight as to why he had such a deep admiration for Norm as a comedian and as a cast member on Saturday Night Live. He even confirmed the idea that their feud was all for show, and Norm even said behind the scenes that there was no bad blood and that they teased each other for the entertainment of the audience and also fellow cast members, as we heard from Jim Breuer's story. He also detailed a story about making Norm laugh while he was doing Weekend Update, and also how Norm talked to Chris's mother for 10 minutes and they had a really wholesome conversation. With all of these words of high praise, it makes it abundantly clear that there was never any beef between these two fellas and that their iconic Saturday Night Live feud was all for show and entertainment. That being said though, it is really fun to look back at all the funny moments and stories between them and quote them to friends and in comment sections. If you guys want to leave some jokes about Chris Kattan and Norm in the comments down below, please do it, and also hype this video so more people can find it and get a good laugh for themselves. All in all, this was the truth about the iconic feud between Norm Macdonald and Chris Kattan on Saturday Night Live. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and if you're looking for more content right now, click the link on the screen to watch this video about Norm Macdonald where I tell you the entire history of his career in only 10 minutes. This video is great if you want to learn more about our favorite chunk of coal and your time is extremely limited. Other than that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. God bless. Norm Macdonald is a comedy icon. He had a reputation on Saturday Night Live for being one of the ballsiest Weekend Update hosts to ever sit behind the desk. Tina Fey once said that Norm was the last dangerous cast member on Saturday Night Live, and he's also been described as the first and last bad boy of SNL. Eventually, Norm was fired from the show though, and why was he fired?
The show blows.
No, Norm was actually fired for his unwavering integrity and loyalty to his friend Jim Downey. In this video, we're going to talk about the real reason Norm Macdonald was fired from SNL and some of the common misconceptions about why Norm was fired, along with why Norm took his secret to the grave. So if all that sounds interesting to you, then let's hop right into it. To begin with, a common misconception about Norm Macdonald's firing from SNL is that it was done by NBC executive Don Ohlmeyer because of all the jokes he made at the expense of acquitted murderer and common breakfast beverage O.J. Simpson. Don did raise some issues to Norm and Jim Downey about this, but it's not the real reason that Norm himself was fired from the show. Part of the reason so many people have believed this for so long is that Norm went on the Howard Stern show and Late Night with David Letterman and built this narrative that he made an enemy in Don Ohlmeyer after he was told to stop making O.J. Simpson jokes, yet Norm persisted because of his authentic internal comedic compass.
You had heard rumors that there were going to be changes. It doesn't look good.
And so then the guys go, hey, man, you got to call this dude Don Ohlmeyer, who's the president of the network.
And they're telling you you've got to call Don Ohlmeyer.
Right.
So when you called Don Ohlmeyer, what did he say?
He said he didn't want me to do Update. He doesn't think I was funny.
He said that to your face?
Yeah.
I don't think you're funny.
On the phone he did this?
He said to me that Update is like dragging down the show. He said, I want you to be better. And I go, well, I can't, because if I'm not funny, an unfunny guy can't be funny.
Lorne Michaels fire you?
No, he didn't. He didn't fire me.
Right.
He likes me and stuff.
Well, it's his show, isn't it?
I thought it was his show, yeah. They said that this guy, Don Ohlmeyer, who turns out to be the president.
Yeah, now I know Don Ohlmeyer, and just between you and me, he's an idiot.
Oh. So he goes, oh, yeah, I'm firing you there from the show. And then I said, oh, that's not good. I said, why is that now? And he goes, oh, you're not funny.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, Lord, that's even worse news, You have to be philosophical about these things. I mean, at first, like when I found out, I was upset. But then, I really started to think about it, and plus I drank a lot of whiskey. But then the next day I sobered up and I remembered, that I still had some whiskey left.
Now, these interviews are legendary and possess endless rewatchability, but Norm knew what he was doing here and was concealing the true reason he was fired to protect his friend Jim. To understand how Norm was protecting Jim Downey, we need to first understand who Jim was and what he meant to Norm Macdonald. If you're a veteran fan of comedy, Jim probably needs no introduction, but in case you need your memory refreshed, Jim Downey is a comedy writer, not just any ordinary writer. Jim holds the record for the longest tenured head writer in Saturday Night Live history, with 10 seasons under his belt, and also the record for longest tenured writer in the show's history, with 30 total seasons under his belt. He also wrote for Late Night with David Letterman as head writer in a crucial and formative stage of the show. Jim was like the Babe Ruth of comedy writing, not because he was good at it before black people were allowed to do it, but because he was just a powerhouse of comedy writing. Dennis Miller even called him the second most important man in the history of Saturday Night Live behind Lorne Michaels, which is one hell of a compliment. The point is, if you have any recollection of moments on Saturday Night Live that were good, there's a strong chance that Jim Downey played a huge hand in the development of it. He was also the school principal from the movie Billy Madison who said this classic line:
"What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard."
Even some of the best jokes on Weekend Update were written by Jim Downey, which brings us right back to Norm Macdonald. Norm and Jim reportedly spent a lot of time together, away from the cast and crew, which is where a lot of the writing took place. Norm and Jim got along really well, which caused their working relationship to grow stronger. Jim even said for a while they stopped doing OJ jokes to make people think they were fully done with them, but then brought them back later on, which is such a funny move.
I'm sure we did an OJ joke, at least one OJ joke
Every show, yeah.
From 94, 95, and 96. And then finally, the fall of 97. So we opened that season, the fall 97, right? Spring 98. We didn't do any OJ jokes. We didn't do any OJ jokes for the first 8 shows.
Wow.
And then the Christmas, it was a long stretch of it was like the bombardment has stopped, and then suddenly, I think they stopped. They have stopped. It's peace in the valley. And then on the 8th show, we did 2 OJ jokes.
Hilarious, man. However, when Norm and Jim were told to stop making jokes about OJ Simpson directly by Don Ohlmeyer, the two would disobey this order, which led to Jim being in hot water with the show producers. Then when Norm was asked by the producers how he felt about their decision to fire Jim, he did not hold back and gave his honest opinions about it. Jim tells the story of exactly how this happened on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
People who were fans of Norm deserve to know this about him. The network went to Norm and said, "We want to get rid of Jim Downey, and we just want you to know you're cool with that, right?" He said, No. If you can't fire him, if you fire him, I quit." And they go, "That's crazy. I mean, he's not helping you, And he said, "Well, no, I'm not doing it without him." And he never told me that. And I didn't hear that for years. I heard it from some network executives. And and part of everything else, if that had been me, that would have been, you bet Norm would have heard. You would have talked about it. Yeah, of course. I mean, come on.
So Norm was not fired for any of the jokes he made. He was fired from SNL because he refused to do the show without his friend Jim Downey. Some people may call that bold, loyal, or even stupid, but you can't deny that Norm's decision came from a position of integrity. We know that also because Jim mentioned how he didn't even know about this until after Norm's death in 2021 because another producer from Saturday Night Live told him about it, which means that Norm took this secret to the grave and never told anybody about it. In my opinion, the likely reason Norm kept quiet about this was because he didn't want a big brother Jim Downey and make it seem like he lost his job because of him, and also because he didn't want to morally grandstand to comedy fans about what happened to him, because to Norm, being funny always came before being morally righteous. So Norm, instead of airing this dirty laundry, decided to tell this funny story about Don Ohlmeyer firing him for not being funny on Letterman and Howard Stern. To clarify, I do think Norm and Jim were confronted by Don Ohlmeyer and that this story happened, but Norm just left out the part that he was fired because of his refusal to do the show without Jim to make the story funnier. Then, of course, a year and a half later, Norm would be brought back to host Saturday Night Live after finding success with his sitcom, The Norm Show, and would give likely the most infamous monologue in Saturday Night Live history.
A year and a half ago, right, I had a sort of a disagreement with the management at the NBC. I wanted to keep my job, right? And they felt the exact opposite. So you see, they fired me because they said that I wasn't funny, But now, this is the weird part, right? It's only a year and a half later, and now they asked me to host the show. So I wondered, I go, hey, wait a second here. Hey! I go, how did I go in a year and a half from being not funny enough to be even allowed in the building? to being so funny that I'm now hosting the show. How did I suddenly get so damn funny? It was inexplicable to me, because a year and a half, let's face it, is not enough time for a dude to learn how to be funny. Then it occurred to me, I haven't gotten funnier. The show has gotten really bad. So yeah, I'm funny compared to, well, you'll see later. But okay, so let's recap. The bad news is I'm still not funny. The good news is the show blows. All right, folks, we got a bad show for you tonight. Dr. Dre.
This was so fucking funny, man. This was just one amazing moment in Norm's long comedy career, and part of the reason we all love and respect him endlessly. People also thought that Lorne Michaels had a strife with Norm because of the whole Don Ohlmeyer situation, but this could not be further from the truth. Think about it like this. Norm got fired from the show and then came back to trash the show as the host, and after all of that, Lorne would still bring back Norm to appear on Saturday Night Live. Canadians always stick together. But this was the full story of why Norm Macdonald was fired from Saturday Night Live, how Jim Downey's situation impacted Norm, and also why Lorne Michaels never had any hard feelings towards Norm to begin with, even after he was canned from the show. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, make sure to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Also, hype the video to help more people see it. If you want to see more content from me, click the link on your screen to watch my last video on Dennis Leary and his infamous stand-up comedy plagiarism scandal with Louis C.K. and Bill Hicks. Click the link to watch that next. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and God bless.
And there's Charles Woodson. How about that? What a season he had. Great, man. He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case... all bets are off. Just a word of advice.
You've admitted that you're lazy. I think you've read 6 books in your life.
I've read 6.
6. What kind of a woman would be attracted to you, do you think?
Well, I had a lot of money.
Oh.
Donald, God bless you. Watching your set was like watching Henry Fonda pick blueberries.
Now, wait a minute.
What's that? Oh, he wants to say something.
Why, I don't think there's a person in here that would not love to watch Henry Fonda pick blueberries.
What a disaster.
Jenny, all the stars are here.
It's true.
Beardy Man, Claude Racine, Dax Flame, Betty Fine,
You got it.
and Raffi Fine. All the stars
You really keep up with all that
are
stuff.
here tonight. Oh, yes. Harley Morenstein is here.
All right. And we also have comedian Todd Glass. He'll be hanging out backstage with some of tonight's guests. And on the red carpet, we've got comedian Kulap Vailesak and host...
I feel like Todd will be struggling to know these people.
I'm sorry, I'm going to continue with the what the computer says, Norm, although I'd love to talk to you more than this computer.
We're on
but
the
I have to do
computer.
what the computer says, even though I do love you, Norm. I think you're one of the best. We're also going to be talking to the host
I'm no Harley Morenstein.
You're not, Norm, but you gotta just let me read this fucking thing.
Alec Baldwin, he must have.
Oh, yeah, every season, pretty much.
He's amazing. I don't know what he's doing now.
He was unreal.
Weird tweets. But he used to come when he was a lot younger, I guess, because it was when I started, which was 20 years ago. And he was married to Kim Basinger. And he'd complain about her, like, she's the most beautiful woman. He goes, fucking wife. She bought a town. He was mad because she bought a town. Which
A town? She bought a whole town?
Yeah,
oh my God.
So their credit score went down a little. So
You see you bought a town.
And then he comes in. Baldwin looks perfect, you know. He just had dinner with Lauren, and he goes, he's trying to be like us, you know, one of the guys. And he goes, that secretary, no, not that, he didn't say secretary. He goes, that assistant girl out there, man, I'd saw my left leg off to fuck her.
Jesus Christ.
And I said, I think all you have to do is ask her. Why?
Yeah, you're Alec Baldwin. I think you're all right.
Now, do you think Cosby's legacy will be hurt?
Yeah.
You do, huh? I mean, there was a comedian, Patton Oswalt, he told me, I think the worst part of the Cosby thing was the hypocrisy. And I disagreed.
You disagree with that?
Yeah. I thought it was the raping. As my feeling, most rapists are hypocrites. You don't meet many go, I like raping, and I know it's not politically correct, but by God, people go, well, he's not being a hypocrite, and that's the worst part.
Do you know about this girl? She's mad at you. Greg was interviewing some girl, and she was going off.
I know who it is.
What's the girl's name?
You know, me and Norm have worked with her before. That's why he's going to laugh when I say the name. Laura Keitlinger. Hates your guts.
Did you know she hates you?
No.
Oh, my God. Do you want to hear the clip?
By the way, wait, can I interrupt your old friend, Norm MacDonald? Did you guys write together on,
He's not a friend of mine.
Roseanne, right?
Well, I was just using it loosely.
Now, you had a reaction just now to Norm
MacDonald.
Not a friend, not a fan.
You worked with him, though.
At Saturday Night Live.
Roseanne.
No, I missed him at Roseanne. Well, I came in, and he was supposed to be the my guide through SNL, and it turned out that he is a shit stirrer.
He's just busy pissing in a bucket in front of people.
Well, no, he loves to pit people against each other. You know, it's funny that you said that because he's probably one of the few people I really don't like.
Wow, I've never heard that about. Everyone loves Norm MacDonald.
Well, I mean, I barely remember Laura from the show, except for her hit characters, obviously.
I don't even know who she is.
But she makes Morweena Banks look like Gilda Radner. But no, she came in directly after me, so I wouldn't be her
mentor.
Yeah, I'm not going to guide any lady through comedy. That would take me, first of all, I'd have to figure out how a lady could do comedy. You know? And then I'd have to...
You strike me, Norm, from what I'm getting from this conversation. You are a man's man. Do you actually believe that women can't be funny? I'm being serious. Are you kind of more in the school that guys are funny comics, just somehow women can't make that transition?
Well, I don't know about you, but when I was in fucking school and shit like that, I'd be in high school, and you could hear peals of laughter, and you'd run over there, and there'd be a big group of people laughing and laughing. Who'd you see in the middle? A broad.
Sure. Did you see the Kramer thing?
Oh, I did see that. We could look at that right now if we wanted to, but we don't have to look at that.
Laugh.
Yeah. Does that make you laugh when you see that?
You've makes me laugh.
You've done stand-up.
I know Michael Richards.
You do? Okay.
And he's no racist. He's not a racist. And when you say something like that crazy, it can only be a joke. You know what I mean? He was out of his head element. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But there's no way that a guy who's racist screams it at the top of his lungs. You know what I mean?
Well, certainly, I don't think he was anticipating the fact that a cell phone could have been putting this onto CNN as he was saying it. I think he was
right. He wouldn't do it on the Craig Ferguson show.
Right. Maybe on here, though. We could maybe to get him on here to recreate that rant. I don't know, up here in front of the brick wall.
Well, let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do. Well, O.J. Simpson's lawyers stopped feuding this week, finally. The Dream Team, F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro, were able to put aside their differences and express their admiration for each other after O.J. threatened to cut their heads off. They always want the new people. Oh, hey, guess what? There's a young girl that's middling attractive that swears a lot. Let's get her. What? Is that the new fucking thing?
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman, hysterical.
Right.
Who's funnier than her?
Nobody.
No, except dudes. But,
Nobody.
but I'm just thinking, you know, because they have that Viagra thing out.
Yeah.
And the other day, you know, Bob Dole came right out and said
he was one of the first.
Yeah. And, you know, you don't want to hear about Bob Dole's cock, you know? I mean, President Clinton's cock, Bob Dole's cock, what the hell? But mostly, an old man like that, an old man, you don't want him to have a super hard cock. You know what I mean?
Why?
Why? Because an old man, you want him to be, got a pipe going, a newspaper, the dog at his feet there.
Well, that, in some corners, is considered pipe.
Oh. But now they're going to have to create some goddamn pill that makes women aroused at the sight of a fucking 70-year-old dude with a super hard cock. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. This is Viagra. It's insane. And you know what it's for? Impotent people. All right, it's for impotent guys. So get this. I read this. The pill can make your cock hard for 4 hours.
Right.
So now, who has the 4-hour hard cock? The impotent guy. The rest of us are fucked. Me and you got our regular cocks. Meanwhile, fucking Spade is, you know.
Defer to Spade.
Oh, man. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it coming.
Dude, I know you didn't. He brought it all around and then a vicious rib kick into his best friend's gut.
Once there's too much cock talk, I try to just zone out for a minute till it goes back the other way.
If there's too much cock talk, this guy has fevered nightmares all night. Dreams, I mean, like sweaty, fevered dreams from the cock talk that's been all over his head.
Why bury me twice? He's killing me.
No, he's a good man.
That erased it. All right.
No, he's a good man.
Who cares?
After all that, that's the whiteout he puts on.
Yeah, I know, it's awful.
After he talks about you doing chin-ups on cock for 18 minutes. No, he's a good guy.
If you're gay, he's a completely straight guy. He gets a lot of ladies. You know that about him with the ladies.
Don't say ladies.
Women, girls.
Okay, thank you. Ladies, what are we, fucking on an FM station here?
He's Don Cornelius.
But these gay guys, man, I was reading, you know about
These gay guys.
I haven't even said hi yet.
In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. That's probably... You don't get worse luck than that. The next time I watch a WNBA game will be the first time I watch a WNBA game. Hey, WNBA, I got an idea that'll sell some tickets. Shirts and skins. But we got a lot of power here, a lot of juice. Mr. Rule Arledge is here, of course, the chairman of ABC News, you know, and a lot of crazy stories coming out of that division, you know. You know, stories about this person sleeping with that person and all that, you know. Scandal after scandal. If you heard the latest, I heard this just the other day. There's a rumor that last week, a certain, I don't want to say who it is, a certain gentleman in ABC News, he went to a party and he got really drunk and he ended up having sex with his own wife. I don't know. I don't know how these rumors get started, but you know, it's probably just a vicious rumor, really, you know. But as Mr. Arledge knows, of course, TV has become a very tough game. You got to stay competitive, you know. As we all know, ABC's Good Morning America is in a little turmoil, you know, a little trouble, a little rating trouble. And they're considering a lot of ways now, you know, to boost the ratings. And I don't know, I think they're getting a little desperate. I heard that next week Charles Gibson will announce he's a lesbian. I mean, is that going to help anything? Nobody wants to hear that. Martha Stewart is here, and she wanted me to tell you, don't let the busboys clear your table off tonight, because a little later Martha will come up here, and she's going to show us how to take those old discarded fish bones and make a beautiful birdhouse. So... That's nice.
How do you figure out how much to share about what goes on behind the scenes at SNL? Because I know that you were talking about Eddie not doing Bill Cosby on Howard Stern's show, and Seth Meyers wasn't crazy about that. He came out about the Ellen and said, I wouldn't have told that story.
Seth Meyers said that?
Yeah, he said, do we have the quote here? Just bring up the quote. He said, I wouldn't have told it. I feel the same way. I think when you're at SNL, you're seeing so many different things behind the scenes. There are often things to give away that are yours to give away. Norm played it in a way that is very Norm MacDonald. And he went on to praise you, but I don't know what that means. I mean, how do you choose what to reveal and what not to reveal, what to share and what not to share about an institution as powerful as SNL?
I always think, what would Seth Meyers do? Ridiculous.
Do you have like a necklace or something with a WWSMD on it? And whenever you're in a pickle, just hold that. And what would Seth do?
Yeah, because, if you really want to be really funny, then that's what you want to do. You want to think, what would make Seth Meyers laugh? That's how I live my life.
What do you think of his show?
Of what show?
The Seth Meyers show.
It's not something I would do.
I was a little late here tonight. I took a cab to the theater, folks. And I don't know if you've ever been in these New York City cabs, but I got one of those cabbies, couldn't speak English, Saw his name there on the dash. I couldn't even pronounce it. I think it was something like Hideki or Rabu. Something like that. Rabu's been having some trouble, man. They fired his translator. Steinbrenner fired his translator. And people see that as cruel, but I don't know, I mean, if you're not doing well in Yankee Stadium, do you really need a translator? Do you want that? Hey, what'd they say? They say you suck. You should go back to Japan, you dirty foreigner. Okay, I got it. I'm trying to pitch over here.
You like George Bush, don't you?
I love George Bush, man. He's a good man, decent. None of this. He's not a liar, a crook, murderer, or anything like that. So it'd be good to get I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question.
Who are the murderers?
Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, we're not allowed to. You're not allowed to put out no accusations without.
That's a little too far.
That's the way it doesn't work.
Let's just go on to the next question.
Yeah.
This is not my week. What can I tell you?
Oh, it's not mine either, and I'm being very nice. Okay. Be a good boy. Now, Norm.
Do you never hear that?
No. Listen,
Norm,
we don't need to
I don't
talk
want to get
about
into
that.
this, and I don't want to hear it, and this is not the place to make those accusations, and you're supposed to be funny. Let's get on to the next question.
So get with it. There you go.
This is a live show.
Why? Norm, but you have been properly chastised by Barbara, so I'm now going to ask the next question.
I thought it was a matter of record.
Shut up.
Shut up. Look,
Okay.
let me do this, okay?
I'll tell you what's a matter of record. You will not be invited back if you don't shut up. All right, now.
So, Jenny, what month was your issue?
Quoting Churchill.
May of 08. Who was on the cover? Do you remember?
It was a Russian girl. And my nickname's Genocide, so I think that was kind of funny.
What?
What? What do you mean?
Is Genocide giving her comedy fucking advice?
Why is that? It's funny because there was a genocide
In Russia? Only about 70 years ago.
against the Russian people.
Who still lives?
But me. That's not
You first. Czechoslovakia. No, it was Holocaust. It wasn't a complete genocide.
What do you mean?
No, it was.
Well, Stalin was a mass. Stalin was a mass murderer.
Only Jewish people seem to get really offended by my nickname.
There are fives in a case.
Dave's getting right.
Well, because they're the only ones that live.
Well, the only true genocide was the. Well,
Sam, another one this way, Sam.
That was a true genocide.
Wow. What?
The American Indians was a true genocide.
No, that was for land.
No, that was justified.
That was for land. We were taking their property.
No,
it doesn't matter. What doesn't matter what the motive
No,
is.
the genocide.
Yeah, the motive is
the
to
Indians
just
was
hatred of a race to exterminate them
It was
without a
just- it was
political or economic
justifiable
agenda.
What we did with the Indians.
Well, it's not
No,
justifiable.
well, who's saying it's justified?
I said, well, let's
Just we got America.
Wondering how it's
Just point counterpoint.
You've never
I'm trying to take another
you've never heard the legal term justifiable genocide? Hitler was out of his mind at the time. Clearly insane.
I'm trying to take another opinion so we can have some friction here. It's a television show, honey. I can't agree with everything you
say. This guy fancies himself a modern-day Bill Maher.
Thank you for the dumb opinion.
And I got a question for Don Donald.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Where do you get your material, your comic material? Is it through your imagination or real-life situations that's happened?
That's an excellent question.
It is. It's a good one. It's almost like now. What inspired you to ask that question, sir?
Well, you know, I kind of think of myself as being a comic as well. If you need some material, I can give you some right now.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Yeah, let's hear a joke here.
Well, it's not necessarily a joke, but have you noticed that it's always illegal to spit on the sidewalk? But as long as you're with your woman, it's okay to cock a loogie in her crotch. I'm thinking the cheap bastards should go buy some lubricant or something.
Yeah. It's like punk rock of comedy.
Well, that's awesome, man.
That's great.
That's good.
That's
Thanks.
a new way to approach comedy. It's a.
You want to play a little something on the piano real quick?
Well, Tom, right now it's not powered up because I got an outlet situation.
Oh, okay.
Going.
All right.
I got some pre-recorded material.
Okay. That's all right. Power it up next time.
He could have a whole act like that.
Wow.
He could. I swear to God, he could craft an entire act like that. You know, why is it okay to throw your gum? Like, you know, why is it bad if you throw your gum on the street, but it's all right if you rape a lady? You know, it's like the premise is crazy. It's not all right to spit in a lady's vagina.
We're joined by the talented trio called the Lonely Island.
Yeah,
who
you know
will be
what I
on the
call
big.
them?
What do you call them?
I call them Sandberg and the other couple of fellows.
The Mind Squad
The
is
other
how Rolling Stone put it.
The other two, Akiva and Yorma. Thank you guys for joining us. Andy.
Thanks for knowing our names.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no, I read the card. You guys ever been to a thing like this? No. What do you think?
Nothing like this.
It feels so pro and real. Am I on TV? Am I on the internet?
We don't know.
Oh, you're on the computer.
You're on a velvet couch. You're on a maroon velvet couch in the beating hot sun.
Hey, can I ask a serious question? I mean, fuck all these jokes. like when you name yourselves, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever have fucking moments of regret later because it's permanent, almost like a tattoo?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Lonely Island, I was outvoted.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
What were the other runner-up names?
Our first album was called Incredibad, and I wanted that to be the name of the band. But
we would have had regrets about that too, though.
Probably.
Let's be honest.
There's no winning when you're a comedy troupe.
Does that happen a lot?
It all
Yeah,
sucks.
you're a troop.
Who comes up with the ideas, or do you guys fight a lot over ideas, or how does that work?
It's a democratic process.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 always.
2 out of 3 wins. Yeah.
Who's always getting left out?
Someone's always mad.
It's whoever's not in town.
Got it.
How do you guys feel in your bodies? Do you feel healthy and strong?
Absolutely not.
I could be eating better.
Yeah.
Yeah, digestion could be going better.
Yeah. I feel like that about
Hey,
myself.
enough of these fucking jokes. Can I ask one more serious question?
Hit me with a real one, Norm.
A real one.
Sandberg, when you went to SNL,
Yeah.
you went different than anybody else because you were already a fucking big hit, right?
I don't think so. Is that true?
We were definitely not a big hit. No.
Oh, Saturday Night Live made you guys a big hit?
Yeah, I mean, we had a small internet following.
Oh, so the computer doesn't really work to make you a big hit?
I mean, that was like 17 years ago, right? How long ago was that? It was a while ago. It's changed now.
Yeah. So when you started Incredibad
/ The Lonely Island.
Yeah, The Lonely Island. What's the significance of that name, though? That's what really I wanted to ask. The Lonely Island. You think of all islands as kind of lonely.
Do you really want to hear the story?
Yes, please.
I do
Yeah, I do a
too.
real short version, which is just basically, it was what we called the apartment we lived on Olympic with all the traffic. It was a sarcastic name from a sarcastic Tennessee Williams style sketch we did about the apartment.
Akiva wrote a one-act play.
God damn, I wish I had a time machine.
Oh,
To
it
see
was
that
so great.
action.
Yeah, no, to take back my question.
Thought you were going to say to murder Hitler.
I would not. You know, people always fucking want to murder Hitler with their time machine, right? But then I feel if I got back there, I'd be afraid of
falling under the spell of his fucking beautiful eyes.
It's true.
And oratory, and
he
then,
locked in the gaze.
yeah, and then I joined the fucking party,
That's
knowing
his
me.
thing. He gives you his full attention. You're like, whoa,
All
wait
right.
a minute. Maybe there's
Norm,
something to
I'm
this guy.
Norm, but before you ask another serious
Believe it
question,
or
we
not,
gotta
they're
move
telling
on.
us to wrap it up. I don't exactly
I
know
want to.
why you
Wrap
guys.
what? This was fun for everyone.
It's the
For the
Lonely
record,
Island, guys.
I would have killed Hitler. So thanks, gentlemen.
Can I just clarify? if I did go back in time to kill Hitler, I would do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't get
That's
lost
the-
in
that's
his
the front
eyes and
door
then
choice.
bail.
Yeah.
Just so I don't get like
thanks for
hit
having
from
us.
all the like
I know, all the-
defamation
Yeah,
leads.
no,
Yeah,
you would end it.
Pro.
Listen,
Okay.
man, I'm sorry about
We got to wrap it up.
I'm sorry
It's
about
over.
bringing up Hitler.
You really brought this live show to a new
This is
low.
the first one, right? This is your first interview?
It's just gonna get worse from
This is
here.
the first time I've ever interviewed a man.
Sign
If you
of
can bring
things to
Hitler
come.
into all of them, they're going to ask you back for sure, which is I know what you want.
That's what we're all hoping for.
Okay, tell him to go now.
You know, with Hitler, the more I learn about that guy, the more I don't care for him. I can't. Yeah. And there's nothing redeeming about the guy. I talk to guys, I go, how on earth could these Germans follow this lunatic, you know? And they're like, oh, he was an incredible public speaker, you know? He could hypnotize you with his public speaking. And then I see him, he's like, strangely, I go, what? That's not my idea of a silver-tongued devil, you know?
Tell me what it is with these gay guys.
I know, I'm already.
I just read this thing about the George
You're reading
Michael.
a lot, aren't you?
Yeah, I got a little time off. Now I read the newspaper. And this really strikes me about the gay community. I don't know if they're a community, but
called West Hollywood.
Yeah, they're gay, and it's, you know, George Michaels. He hangs around the bathroom. He has sex with multiple guys. This is
no way. You got to get it right. Hangs around the bathroom,
Right.
and it was described as a lewd behavior, but I don't remember sex with numerous guys.
Well, what
is that what you took away from it?
What does he do?
What were you, in the next stall?
I could have been just having a nice bathroom regular thing.
I don't know what lewd behavior is, but I don't know that he was in there with numerous guys. But
this
anyway,
is
go ahead. We get the gist of it.
This is definitely a gay thing, because this is a pop superstar. You know what I mean? You're not going to walk into a bathroom and all of a sudden Farrah Fawcett's like, you know? You're not going to...
What? I love it.
What I'm saying is, why would a famous
What was she doing? Was it some sort of cervical belt sander thing, or what was that? Oh, Christ, what are you, Linda Blair?
They
I
do.
don't know.
That's what they do. Right?
That's what ladies that I know do. But
good to know that primetime exposure is paying dividends there.
But I think that's what it is. It's that the gay, that's why they have separate bathrooms. Let's face it. If they had women and, women, as you call them, I call them ladies. If you had them in the same bathroom,
Like Ally McBeal.
like you go in the bathroom to do your business, see a man about a dog there, you know, and you're in the bathroom. You're in the bathroom. All of a sudden, a beautiful lady comes out. Oh, here's my vagina and breasts. You're going to be hanging out at that bathroom a lot. So I don't blame anybody for anything.
It was revealed today that O.J. Simpson told police that Nicole Brown Simpson used to beat him up. He also claimed that she and Ron Goldman killed him. O.J. Simpson's lawyers have decided to skip hearings on DNA evidence and go right to trial. Asked why they did this, the lawyers replied, "We want to get O.J. acquitted as speedily as possible so he can get back to doing what he does best, killing people."
Oh, I have an announcement to read. I almost forgot. I was told to make this announcement. Table 10, wherever you are, table 10. We're sorry your waitress hasn't been there in a while. Larry King just married her. So... I have to say, though, you know, this is an incredible thing for me. You know, I'm just a punk, you know, and yet here I am, you know, I can't believe I'm speaking in a room. I'm standing in a room here with the most powerful man in the country, Alan Greenspan, you know, and it's a little amazing to me. It's a little, you know. Of course, that's the big story in here in Washington is the recent marriage between NBC's Andrea Mitchell and Alan Greenspan, who is 71 years old. And this is sweet, you know, I didn't know this. They wrote their own vows, you know. She promised to love, honor, and speak into his good ear. So that was it's kind of sweet, you know.
Chris is a great guy, but he used to bring around women all the time to the show, you know. Big, tall women, you know. Big bruisers, you know. And he'd say, look, I'm heterosexual. I mean, he wouldn't say that out loud, but that's what that would be the caption on the picture in the New Yorker. Boy, those are funny.
So it was something related to his sexuality.
Maybe. But listen, if I call a person gay, that ain't no insult.
It's a good thing nowadays.
Yeah, if you say it's an insult, you're the homophobe, not me.
Correct. Supreme Court says so.
That's absolutely.
I consider Amy Schumer the funniest person on the planet. If you take me out of the equation.
No, I meant me.
Oh, that's why you were coughing?
That's why I was clearing my throat, yeah. Not you.
I thought you were clearing your throat for me.
No.
Taking you out of the equation.
Yeah.
But you're funny in a different way.
Yeah,
you know?
Thank you, buddy.
In a brilliant move during closing arguments, Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran put on the knit cap prosecutors say O.J. wore the night he committed the murders. Although O.J. may have hurt his case when he suddenly blurted out, hey, easy with that. That's my lucky stabbing hat.